Thursday night Krug Show. Dieter is in the house. Brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. The Niners, do they have a defensive coordinator or not? Do they have a new special teams coordinator or not? The Warriors win big, and Quentin Post is legit. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to draft. We're going to get to Thursday night Dieter. You're going to be pissed. You're going to laugh. You're going to cry.
Everything.
Let's go right now. All right, there we go. Fire up the band.
Hell of a sell job there, Lair.
It's going to be a great stream. Join us. Hello, everybody. Welcome to January 23rd, 2025. I am Larry Krueger. That is Dieter Kurtenbach. This is The Krug Show. Brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. The best barbecue in all of Northern California, and I will be at Pig and a Pickle on Championship Sunday from 11 a.m. till 3 p.m. I will be there. I will have a little lunch. I'll stop by, say hello. Gonna stop in and say hi to my man Damon and his lovely wife Mary, and to have some amazing barbecue and watch some of the first playoff game. What game is the first game?
I knew this a moment ago. Oh, they're gonna do the NFC first. NFC's at noon, I think.
Okay, so I'm going with the Commanders, and I will be there for that one. So I'm really looking forward to it. Join us at Pig and a Pickle on Sunday for Championship Sunday as I eat barbecue, have a beer, and hang out with some of the supporters of the show. And we do appreciate you guys. And I'm always impressed, man. People will come from like really far away.
Yeah.
I had a guy who's like, I just came from the California border. I was like, California-Oregon border. I'm like, are you kidding me? You came down that far? But, I think it's cool. It's awesome. And so, it was really, really cool. I think we had 40 or 50 people show up last time, and we haven't really promoted it very much, so I don't think we'll have that many this time. But it's going to be a packed house anyway because of the playoffs and the championship game. And anyway, it's a great spot. Pig and a Pickle, Corte Madera. Join us on Sunday from 11 to 3. And, of course, we're also brought to you by Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles, 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, along the Monterey Peninsula. Mm-hmm. My good friend Anthony Catania is a fan of the show, and he is hopefully listening tonight as we talk little Niners. And Anthony's at 831-521-5264. Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles for all your sports cards and collectible needs. And, of course, we are this live stream is sponsored by Betr, the official daily fantasy sponsor of the Krug Show. Use Betr to make daily fantasy lineups and win real money. That's right. Mm-hmm. So download the app below. Make sure you use the promo code Niners to get your first deposit matched up to $200. Everyone who does automatically is entered into a drawing to win the free signed Ricky Pearsall jersey. We'll give it away in the post game after Super Bowl 59. Ricky Pearsall signed 14 jersey. I have it. It's impressive. I have great hopes for Ricky in year 2. All right. Though I did call him a bust about 6 weeks ago.
It's fine.
Full disclosure, and welcome.
I'll remember forever because I was standing alone on my island, Ricky Pearsall Island, much like he was standing alone from cornerbacks, despite the fact he wasn't getting the ball. But we can all be together in agreeing that he's going to have a big 2025.
And our opinions evolve, right? They evolve.
New information, new opinion. Nothing wrong with that.
The guy ran 110 routes or whatever it was. He had like one catch or something. So we were just calling it the way we see it. All right, that's not what we want to get into. Good luck to Ricky.
Don't rope me in with that one, though.
That's not what we were talking about.
That's right. That's a pro move. Well, we were all in agreement. No, we weren't.
Damon always does that to me. We stop it. Nope. Stop it.
I'm an independent woman. I have my own opinions.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, I want to get into the story of the day, which is Robert Saleh is this close to being the 49ers defensive coordinator. Apparently, now it's not a done deal.
Right.
Everybody hold your horses.
Yeah.
It's not a done deal. but the 49ers are expected to land Robert Saleh, their top target for defensive coordinator. He was fired in October, Dieter, as the head coach of the Jets, 5 games into his 4th season. He was a front runner for the Jaguars job, and the whole thing took a dramatic turn on Thursday. The Buccaneers OC, Liam Cohen, who had removed himself from the whole Jaguar head coaching search just the day before, reinserted himself into the whole deal.
Love to reinsert.
Yes. And became the favorite to win the Jaguar job, of course. So
he's been hired.
They hired him tonight. Yeah, they hired him. I mean, at least I don't know if he signed. These days, if I were the Jaguars, I would say make sure you get a signature on that.
DocuSign this right now.
It's really a crazy story.
It's wild.
There's all kinds of angles on this thing, but what transpired between Wednesday and Thursday is the question. And Trent Baalke might have been the difference, right? He was there. Out. Cohen didn't want him. Shad Khan.
Who wants him?
Nobody wants him. Yeah, Trent Baalke.
I want to be here, though. You know what? I've been here for a while. There's some good. I'm going to tell you. No, it's my way. I'm going to take the floor. Okay, right now. Brian Thomas Jr. can flat out play. The old Trent Baalke drafted him. All right.
Did you watch the 30-minute video of Shad Khan?
I like Trayvon Walker. To this day, I'd take Trayvon Walker over Aiden Hutchinson. Write it down. Put it in an envelope.
Shad Khan did a press conference on Zoom with Trent Baalke when they fired Doug Peterson.
That was awesome. Epic.
And it was just 30 minutes of the media being like, why is Trent still employed? And Shad Khan being like, I'll fire him. Like, I got no problem firing him. If someone says I need to fire him. And Trent just sat there and just drank water. It was high-level comedy. Like, it was that was some elite-level stuff. You couldn't script it any better. And then, sure enough, they did it. Liam Cohen's like, yeah, I don't want this guy. And they fired him. So
Trent is a scout. That's what he is. And he's not the worst scout ever or anything. I think he's a pretty good scout. It's just that, he's kind of miscast as the GM, but he's really good at surviving. I mean, he's survived multiple regimes with the Niners. He's survived multiple, regimes. I mean, all kinds of guys guys with better resumes are falling left and right. Harbaugh got dumped on his watch. Doug Peterson's got a Super Bowl ring. He got dumped, and Baalke stayed.
He survived Urban Meyer.
Seriously, Trent Baalke's a survivor. I mean, I admire the guy. The guy should write a book, How to Survive in the NFL with no talent whatsoever. It should be the name of his career story should be, I drafted A.J. Jenkins.
That's right. And lived to tell the tale 15 years later.
I'll never forget that. Damon Bruce and I were doing the Niner draft thing, and it was our job to interview Jim Harbaugh and Trent Baalke in that draft. Yeah. And they walked in, and I said to Harbaugh, I'm like, so Jim, and I know nothing about A.J. Jenkins. I go, tell me, but I'm just trying to lay it out there for Harbaugh. Harbaugh is very, very difficult guy to interview because he's just takes offense to everything. And, he's always, he's kind of cagey, gets antagonistic. So you got to really kind of play it straight with him and kind of lay the ground. You can't give him anything to chew on.
Right.
So I'm just like, Jim, tell me what you like about A.J. Jenkins. Just straight, no frills kind of question.
Take it anywhere you want.
Yeah. He's a guy who's he's done some things. And, he's a guy that, can run. Yeah. And we like that. We like that in a receiver. Yeah. And played in a good conference, and he's done some stuff, and we're feeling real good. It's just like that. It was like so generic. I was like, my next question I wanted to be like, Jim, have you ever seen A.J. Jenkins? It's like, could you pick A.J. Jenkins out of a crowd? No. I mean, it was unbelievably vague, right? And
he did play in a good conference.
And Balky literally went with Balky stole the draft day thing. He told us that this is true. This actually happened.
What I did was I wrote this guy's name down and I put it in an envelope in my desk, Lowry. And then what happened was the draft came and the pick came around and I looked down at that envelope and I'm like, yeah, sure as heck, I'm going with it. And so that's how I wrote down AJ Jenkins.
And I'm thinking at the time we're like, wow, what a story. It's like it's only a cool story, Trent, if the guy's good. If the guy's bad, it's like, dude, you put a name of some bust in an envelope. That's how bad you are. You isolated the worst guy. I mean, this guy played in the Big Ten and had done nothing. I mean, it was like unbelievable, horrible draft choice.
Maybe you put it in the envelope so you couldn't see the name.
Did you ever watch any film of this guy? You know what I mean?
No, just love the name. What a name. AJ, you could already imagine. I mean, this guy's got speed. I mean, there's just no question he's got speed.
Yeah, but can he catch or run or play the position?
Not really. We drafted Usain Bolt in the second round.
But let's talk Salah because so basically Salah is the front runner for the Jacksonville job. And then Liam Cohen was going to be the guy because they have Trevor Lawrence and they need an offensive guy. And even today, when I interviewed a guy from Jacksonville before this kind of went down, or I guess it was after it went down, and he was like, yeah, they needed an offensive guy. Of course. They had to prioritize an offensive guy. So Salah was going to be second to Cohen. Now, the only thing we don't know is if Salah is going to get offered another head coaching job. He will be the Niners defensive coordinator if nobody else offers him the job. Now, I bring this up because he is on the board for a couple of I've got
Raiders and Cowboys. I don't think he's on the board. I don't think he interviewed with the Saints, but he interviewed with the Raiders and the Cowboys both.
Yeah, so he is 5-1. So the Cowboys' next head coach, and this is as of this morning, I think. Okay. I think this probably is a little different because I think the favorite's probably Brian Schottenheimer. But this says Kellen Moore, the Eagles' offensive coordinator. That makes sense too because he was there. So he knows. He knows how to deal with Jerry, and that's the job because Jerry ain't going anywhere. Right. So Kellen Moore is minus 275 as of this morning. Brian Schottenheimer is plus 200. Dion was plus 500, but Robert Saleh was tied with Dion, so 5-1.
Where's Cliff Kingsbury on that list?
He's 12-1.
That's the name that I heard they really want, but there might not be mutual interest.
Yeah, if you're Cliff Kingsbury, I mean, don't go there. Jeez, you can do better.
It's also the Dallas Cowboys.
Then I know, but I mean, it's you're gonna lose.
Raiders.
Then the Raiders, Pete Carroll is minus 150 this morning. Todd Monken was plus 150. Liam Cohen was plus 400. Take him out. Joe Brady's plus 500, 5-1. Dion 10-1. Ron Rivera 10-1. Steve Spagnuolo 10-1. Cliff Kingsbury 16-1. Somebody said Cliff Kingsbury to the Raiders might be a fit.
I heard that as well. I'm fascinated.
And Salah, by the way, was 20-1 to the Raiders.
Where's Brian Flores on that list?
He's not.
That's wrong. It might be Brian Flores.
You think it's going to be Brian Flores?
Patriots connection with Brady.
Yeah.
Obviously a culture setter. Brings you an immediate effectiveness on one side of the ball. There's plenty of stink that McDaniels might actually come back and be there's a whole McDaniels.
Vance Joseph is also on this list, by the way. Vance Joseph at 16-1.
I'm just I wouldn't exclude Brian Flores if for no other reason. Doesn't that feel right? Brian Flores, head coach of the Raiders. Like
I would think. I mean, if Spags is really doing interviews, why wouldn't you hire Spags?
Correct. Well, no, that's right.
I mean, of those guys, Pete Carroll, Todd Monken. Look, okay, so you got Todd Monken, offensive guy, Liam Cohen, offensive guy, Joe Brady, offensive guy, Dion, whatever. I mean, Dion's offense, defense, and special teams. So he's awesome. Dion's everything. Ron Rivera's a defensive guy. Spags is defense. Kingsbury's offense. Vance Joseph's defense. Robert Saleh's defense. So, do you want a defensive guy or an offensive guy?
They don't really need with the Jags. They need an offensive guy. They got a $255 million quarterback. Like, you have to make good on that investment. The Raiders can go any direction they want. They got nothing. In theory, it'd be great if you're getting Shador or somebody in the first round. Then you have this offensive guy, and you guys can come along the pipeline together. But there's no necessity anywhere for the Raiders. They can pick whomever they think is best, and seems like Tom is pulling all the strings. He just got a new GM.
Maybe Kingsbury then.
Maybe Kingsbury, but I don't know.
Kingsbury
if Tom
looks like a Vegas coach.
Yeah, well,
he does, doesn't he?
Derogatory.
No, he just looks kind of, he looks like a kind of guy who could, young guy who could be in the clubs and,
Yeah, that's what I want my head coach doing. Getting DUIs with my players.
His offense is high. It's going to score points. It's like you go to see a football game in Vegas. If you go to a football game in Vegas, you're like making a decision to kind of slow it down a little bit. You know what I mean?
That's fair. Yeah.
As opposed to speeding it up.
But
so
it's
also
like the Raiders. It's also supposed to be bad boys. It's supposed to be middle finger in the face of authority, right? Like there at least should still be a Raiders mystique when it comes to how they go about their business. And like Brian Flores is a great, that dude's middle finger to everything. That dude.
Well, maybe he's a secret candidate, but he's not anywhere on the odds at all, which is wild. It probably means he's either a secret candidate or he's just not there. He's not. He's a non-candidate.
I would throw down something on the number. So that's why I say it's wrong. Because I would if you gave me 50-1, I'd sure as hell put down something on it.
The odds on the Saints coach Joe Brady's the favorite, plus 175. Darren Rizzi and Mike
Rizzler.
McCarthy, 2-1, and Mike Kafka. I think is an interesting one because I think Mike Kafka's a good coach, former Northwestern quarterback.
I remember him. He was the play caller for the Giants there the one year that they went to the playoffs with Daniel Jones. Where's he been the last couple of years?
I'm not sure. He's an offensive coordinator for somebody. I just don't know. He's a good football coach. I know he's a smart guy too.
I mean, Joe Brady's doing some really cool stuff. The fact that there's no smoke to McCarthy, which is interesting. That McCarthy, it was Bears or Saints, and it didn't really feel like he had traction anywhere else. Maybe the Cowboys will hire him, but Brady with the LSU thing from 2019, like. With what he's doing in Buffalo, I feel like that's too easy. But if I'm him, I'm asking for like a 7-year deal because they don't have a quarterback, they don't have a good enough roster, and they got about $80 million above the salary cap, and that's before they start doing some stuff. So you're walking into a 2-year tear it down before you can start building it up again. I'd make sure that I had a long-term contract if I was Joe Brady.
Yeah, I mean, you don't believe in Spencer Rattler?
I don't.
Jaguars, just hired Liam Cohen, but he would just to put these odds in perspective. Yet this morning he was 14-1, and the favorite was Robert Saleh at plus 100. Patrick Graham was the second choice at plus 200. Joe Brady was the third choice at plus 300. Kellen Moore was plus 550. See, that was the thing. What makes this such a great day for the Niners is that you want to get on with it. You want to put your program together and get on to getting the players, reset. You need a bunch of players, and it's time to get on with it. Okay, and the reality is that if this whole little tap dance charade didn't happen with Liam Cohen and the Jaguars. If this, where Liam Cohen kind of shanked the Buccaneers, it sounds like he basically just went dark on the Buccaneers.
He flat out lied to him. He said that he wasn't going to take a second interview with the Jaguars, and then a day later he takes a second interview with the Jaguars and gets Trent Baalke fired and takes the job.
The ironic thing and the rich thing is I think I saw Schefter yesterday kind of going, nobody passes on, head coach money for coordinator money. It's almost like, like who would ever do that? And then today he's like, wow, I've never seen anything like this with Liam Cohen. It's like yesterday you were kind of rooting this on. And today,
can't have it both ways.
You're like, you can't believe this happened.
Yeah.
I mean, it's atrocious what's happened, but I rooted for it to happen yesterday.
Isn't it cool? This thing that that's never happened. Who could have seen this coming? I mean, anyone?
Brian Flores was 12-1 on the Jaguars list, so maybe that that's interesting. I mean, he is a fantastic defensive coach with a lot of exotic blitzes, and
he's awesome.
He's done it in multiple spots. He can dial up a lot of pressure. I mean, I thought, just talking to some of the offensive linemen the week that he was in Minnesota this year, and just talking to the offensive linemen after week 2, and was like, just trying to deal with the array of pressure packages and different exotics that he dials up. It's just it's a mental and physical grind,
Totally.
And then you have all of a sudden it's like you take one false step on that fast surface after just, where he's just changing it up on the quarterback and the O-line, giving you different look after different look after different look after different look. And you're doing a lot of mental processing and you're making a lot of the correct decisions. And then boom, you make a mistake and they bust you for, somebody busts through and sacks the quarterback, blows up the series, Right. It's a high pressure. And he dials it up with a lot of pressure and he dials up a lot of simulated pressures. And, you just don't know where it's coming. You see it when it ain't there. It's like that kind of thing.
If you're the Raiders, obviously we're acting as if they're rational actors here. But if you're the Raiders, you have to think about, and I always try to bring it back to this in any sport, and including in basketball where divisions don't matter. But who is in your division? And you're going up against Kansas City, you're going up against Sean Payton and the Broncos, and you're going up against Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers. Now, while all of those are well-rounded teams, you are in theory dealing with 3 offensive-minded head coaches who, when they have their operations, are coming at you at 3 different angles, right? If the Chiefs are rocking and rolling, it's the deep ball and the power run. If the Broncos are coming at you, it's that short pass and the outside run. And if the Chargers have their way, it's every pass. You're not know which is coming, but a lot of run. We're just going to war of attrition in the trenches. That's how they want to play football. So you go and you get a offensive-minded coach. Cool, you're going to keep up with them? Probably not. Why don't you go get somebody who's going to make all 3 of those head coaches' lives living hell? Like that's what I would do. But we're spending too much time on the Raiders. Robert Saleh is going to make a lot of NFC West play callers' lives living hell too, man. Like that is a huge get for the Niners if it comes to pass. Very Machiavellian, by the way. The ends justifying the means, because this thing could have been horrible for the 49ers had Salah taken a head coaching job, which I guess he could still do. But they didn't really interview. They interviewed one other guy. I don't even know if they interviewed Brandon Staley. Like, they were all in on Salah, and Salah was not and remains not all in on them. But if he comes, the ends justify the means, and it's a hell of a pickup.
Well, and it's like how much clout does Robert and does Robert Saleh possess in this situation? Well, I think we're getting a really close up look at it. He is absolutely the perfect guy for them, and he knows it, and they know it. He's had Daniel Bullocks under him. He's had Chris, Kasarik under him. He's had Johnny Holland coach under him. So the Niners like their staff. They don't want to fire their staff. They don't they want to keep the continuity. They believe, which is true. And Belichick talked about it the other day on Inside the NFL, that every time you change the scheme, that's a major change, and you're not going to be as good at it in year 1 as you're going to be in year 2, as year 3. And imagine if you're playing the same scheme for like 10 years compared to somebody who's just switching every year. So there's a lot of nuance to it, and so you don't go switching scheme lightly. That's why when Shanahan was like, yeah, we're open to it, I was like, that didn't sound legit. That sounded like, hey, man, we just got beat. We got to be open to anything. You know what I mean?
We're not going to tell you, we're not doubling down on a thing that clearly sucks publicly, but like we're also not going to put in the effort to fundamentally change. Because, yeah, I mean, not only with coaches, but with players. Think about the amount of players that they have. Every draft for the last, since 2017, has been, defensive players have been predicated on getting players to fit that scheme. Now, it hasn't always worked. And in fact, it hasn't worked more often than it has worked. But like, to switch that up, to go to, as some has suggested, a 3-man front, like that's going to take a couple of years to get just the personnel, much less the coaches who understand how to do it. So I have no problem.
A totally
with
different kind of defensive lineman. I mean,
totally.
They have a defensive line that's proliferated with one gap penetrators,
right.
Not two gappers. Probably Evan Anderson is probably the only guy that they have that I would
he can
consider
hold.
a
He can
two-gapper.
hold one. I don't think he can hold two. I mean, he doesn't
But I'm
have
just
the
saying
height.
he's the only guy who's even built along those lines. If you look at some of these teams that have 34 fronts, the guys inside are, they're Vita Vea monsters, and they're broad, and they're
6'5" and 380 pounds. I mean, it's Al Woods. I mean, they're colossus.
They're big boys for sure, and you got so it's a different deal, and they don't have those players. So they didn't want to switch their scheme. So Salah fit their scheme, and so Salah was a great fit. Now the Niners are talking about Brant Boyer for the special teams role.
Cool.
And where did he work? Well, he worked with Salah with the Jets, and maybe Salah said, "Hey, you want me? How about this? How about hire my special teams coach too? I think this guy's good." And the Niners are probably like, "Hey, you know what?
Sure.
How bad could he be? If I'm Shanahan, Shanahan's probably sitting there with the Lynch going, "Look,
is it Richard Hightower? Then we'll take him."
They ain't nowhere to go but up, right, John?
That's right.
I mean, they're looking at each other going, well, let's do it. If we can get Salah, we'll do that. And what are the odds that he's worse than what we've had? No, we're bound to be better. So I think that's on Salah's coattails. Probably comes the special teams coach, and that they've gone Clay Kubiak in as the offensive coordinator. So they're done. They're done. They've got their coordinators unless Robert Saleh gets a head coaching job, and it's unlikely that he will. Now, what's interesting to me is nothing against the coaches and nothing against Saleh or any of these guys, but I don't like acting like heaven and earth because there's only one Bill Walsh, there's only one Buddy Ryan, there's only one Ray Rhodes, there's only one Mike Holmgren. They're great, awesome coaches they're just rare. They're just rare,
totally.
And it's like there's many more, just dime a dozen. It's about players. It's always been about players. It's always going to be about players. And that's where the Niners fell off. Is Sorensen not great? Yeah, but I'm not going to pretend that Sorensen is the problem. Sorensen wasn't the problem. He wasn't good enough. He didn't have the answers.
Right.
There are way better guys. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's good. I'm just saying that's not the problem. Your problem's not solved. Like, oh, you have Robert Saleh. Oh, problem solved. No, your problem's not solved.
No.
He cannot turn water into wine. You know what I mean? He cannot. Right. This guy is not that guy. Okay, so who could he potentially bring from the Jets? And I looked at the Jets list, and I did a video on this.
I'll give you three.
Well, I'm going to give you. Let me just give you the name. Okay, go ahead. You go first.
Here we go. Ashton Davis, safety. Cal kid, Santa Cruz, played well for him. That's just a depth piece, right? That doesn't preclude you from doing anything, but you're going to need some safeties. Probably one in the draft, probably two in free agent. You need to have some bodies there. Ashton Davis, very viable.
Love him. He, 6'1", 205 pounds, 28, 29.
Great player at Cal. Really good player at Cal.
But, good this year. He had 9 tackles against Miami. Yep. He had 9 tackles against Buffalo. Yeah. This guy's a great story. This guy was a walk-on hurdler at Cal with 4.4 speed, and he just kept getting better and better and better. He's a special temer, so he's a high character player. Yeah, no, he's a
local kid, right? So it's an easier sell. One other guy. There's other guys, but the one other guy that I think you really need to hone in on, Jamie and Sherwood, the linebacker, who was really good for them. Right. And when you think about the scheme that they're going to run again with the wide 9, you need to have elite level linebacker play. I do think that Robert Saleh coming back is good news for Dre Greenlaw because Robert Saleh is going to understand intrinsically the value that Dre Greenlaw provides. So you're not going to have to be convincing the new defensive coordinator that Dre Greenlaw is good and that they should bring him back. But if they can't bring him back, I do feel like this is and it's not an and or, it's just an or. If they can't bring back or they decide that Achilles is too dangerous, they don't want to bring back Greenlaw. Jamien Sherwood was really good as the third linebacker for the Jets to the point where he was probably their best linebacker, and they had 2 highly paid linebackers on that team. 25 years old. I think he's about an $8 million a year linebacker, but you feel okay giving him that money because he's so young. There are rookies in this league that are coming in at 25 years old. This ECU punter is 32. He's looking for a new school, Larry. So these college football with the COVID year and now the JUCO transfer rules, there's a lot of guys who are coming into the NFL at 24, 25. This guy's got 4 years of, in the last 2 years in particular, high-quality football under his belt at 25. I got no problem paying him. I think Sherwood would be a hell of a pickup to play next to Fred Warner. Those are 2 guys that I think, amongst others, like DJ Reed, I'm sure we'll talk about him, but those 2 guys, I think, high on the list, if not 1, 2.
Yeah, no, you're so spot on Jamien Sherwood. I mean, this is the guy. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that feel like, they know football and they follow it, but I know if we say this name, everybody's like, Jamien Sherwood? What? Jamie, tell me what? I'm telling you, if the 49ers can get this guy to follow Robert Saleh from the Jets, do cartwheels. I mean, seriously, go throw a 49er party. Tell everybody the 49ers just got a great player.
Get out the good carnitas because that's a serious day.
Bust out the Stoli. We're having a big night.
That's right.
Jamien Sherwood, he's a 25-year-old linebacker, converted safety, played at Auburn.
Right.
6'2", 215 pounds.
Boy,
this year, this guy came of age, man. Yeah. He had 10 or more tackles in a game 7 times. He had 18 tackles against the Dolphins. He had 17 tackles against Arizona. Against the Texans, he had 7 tackles and 2 sacks. Florida kid, 5th-round pick by the Jets out of Auburn in 2021. Super sure tackler, hitter, special teams experience, 34-inch arms, longest arms in the league, can cover the tight end, team MVP. Mm-hmm. This guy, they say, is the hardest working guy on the entire team. He studied Cam Chancellor, he studied Jalen Ramsey, and he kind of is a little bit of a combo of both. He stepped in when C.J. Mosley got hurt, and the guy's monster. Team MVP.
Great.
Team
He's
MVP. Great. Best player on the team on the defense. He was Pro Football Focus's highest graded Jets defender at 73.8. Yeah,
which says a lot about the Jets defense when Robert Saleh left, but yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, if the Niners get Jamien Sherwood, seriously, do cartwheels.
It's huge.
I'll add a couple more guys to the list.
Okay.
I love DJ Reed. Now,
nothing to dislike, except for his age.
Well, yeah, the only thing I don't like is that he had 19 penalties over the last 2 years. He had a career high 11 this year. That's a lot. And the Jets did go 4-1 in the 5 games that he didn't play. So I don't know, but he started 46 games in 3 seasons with the Jets. He doesn't pick off the ball. He only had 2 picks. He's not an intercepting guy. He doesn't, but he's physical. He'll tackle you. 64 tackles last year, 52 solo.
True cover 3 corner, right? He'll make sure that no one catches it, and that he'll come in and protect against the run. That's a big deal. That's hard to find.
Since he joined the Jets in 2022, he ranks 15th in PFF overall grade, 8th in coverage grade. So, a lot of talk that Arizona's going to go after him. Arizona's got $72 million in cap room. It's like one of the most in the league, and supposedly they're going to go after him. But man, DJ Reed started as a Niner. He's only 28. I still think he's got 2 or 3 years of big-time football. He's tough as hell. He's got major swagger. He can play the slot as well as anybody, but he plays outside. I that's the guy right there. Now, a couple other guys that I think would be really interesting. One is Chaz Surratt, the former quarterback,
right?
Who this guy was a decorated high school quarterback in North Carolina. and he was went to North Carolina as a quarterback. He's 6'2", 230, and he runs 4.5. And he's 27. He's also super strong. He had like 27 reps of 225 coming out. And tremendous work ethic, productive tackler at Carolina his final years there. Tough, smart, competitive. He had 28 tackles and 24 off the bench. This guy, Robert Saleh, knows how talented this guy is. This guy is really talented. He's fast. He's a young linebacker who's really good. And on a bad team with worse linebackers, he would have played, but he didn't play very much on this team because they have such good linebackers. So right. Chaz Surratt is a good one. Okay. And then, then of course, Solly Thomas, if you like Solly actually is a pretty decent football player at this point. But the other guy, I think if you're the Niners and you're really looking to plug the run, Leki Fotu is just a house, and he's only 26, 34 in the 4th-inch arms, 4th-round pick by Arizona out of Utah in 2020. This guy is he's 6'5", 340. He only played 1 year of high school football, right?
It's stunning that he's 340. He looks like he's 280.
Oh, I know, it's crazy. He was such a good rugby player that he made the U.S. national rugby team. Yeah. First team All Pac-12 as a junior, third team All-American as a senior. 2 of his brothers also played college football. This guy's got natural strength. He's an odd front nose guard is what he is. But you know what? He's only 26 and he's a house. And then I'm tired of watching people run up the gut on the Niners. I'm tired. The Niners have to do 2 things.
340 pounds.
The Niners have to do 2 things. They have to be able to run it up the middle and stop the run at the point. If you can't run it up the middle and you can't stop the run at the point, it's game over. It is literally game over. So they got to get super serious on both sides of the ball at getting the middle of the field clogged up. Yeah. If you can't stop the run, you're done. So this guy would absolutely be just that mountain in the middle. You would not be giving up short yardage anymore.
First and second down, short yardage.
Yes.
Put him in at 1 technique, and he doesn't have to get anywhere. He just has to hold the damn line. Because if I see Jordan Elliott, the supposed best run stopper on the San Francisco 49ers, get opened like a flipping door one more time, I mean, he was just on a pivot where he would just turn 90 degrees after the snap. He started facing the end zone. He ended up looking at the sidelines, snap after snap after snap. I don't need the penetration. I don't need it. Just don't get pushed out of the way, right? I guess it was an upgrade from Javon Kinlaw, who would get pushed 5 yards backwards. But it's not that much better when you just turn your shoulders and have no leverage whatsoever anymore. When you just open up the door and say, come on in. How much better is that? What kind of a security system just opens the door for the robber? That's what they had going on. And so if you can just have, I don't know, a door that stays closed, hold the gap. I don't need 2 gap. I just need someone to stand there and not move. That's all I want. Fotu would be incredible. I have no idea how this man is listed at 335 pounds. It makes no sense to me.
Well, and I'll say this. I mean, you got to have a plan, right? I mean, if you're going to get better, if you're going to win anything, you have to have a plan. You can't just, we're just going to do what we can do. No. Yeah. You got to have a plan to succeed. My plan to succeed, if I ran the Niner defense, would be get bigger bodies up front consistently. Start and what I see a lot of in the draft is I see a lot of really, really good linebackers that are 215 to 240 pounds. They're not 250, 260 with neck rolls. They're really small and fast. They're almost like strong safeties, but they can, lots of them, like 5 or 6 guys like this in the draft this year that are really, really can run and hit. And you got to protect these guys' legs. You got to keep the offensive linemen off their legs. And that's where the big, thick, 330-pound defensive tackles, the Niners have to get real up front. Their biggest problem are their defensive tackles, I think, and they got to address it.
No, it's either their offensive tackles or their defensive tackles. I think it's defensive tackles, as you said. You don't stop the run, you're done.
Yeah.
It's not a new take. We're not presenting anything new here. We all watched this team. They were awful in the middle, and it put a tremendous amount of undue stress on the linebacker core this season. I mean, I don't know if Devondre Campbell had any good football in him. He certainly didn't show it, but he was consistently tasked with having to do two things at one time and clearly could not get it done. Fred Warner looked like a shell of himself, not just because of the injury, but because he was getting no insulation whatsoever as the entire play came towards him again and again and again. So I understand that you're giving up something when you go with those wide splits, but at a certain point, someone's got to hold down the damn fort as well, because the linebackers, yeah, they can clean it up, but I mean, come on now. Don't answer questions from the FBI without a lawyer present.
How old is Larry? Someone said, what?
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. They need to get a legit. Well, they need multiple defensive tackles, but
yes,
and
we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it. We got more to go. We got more time here. We are definitely going to get into that though. Mufasa with a very interesting one that caught my eye. Larry knows Victoria's secret. Thank you. Thank you, Mufasa. Somewhat random, but what the hell? This live stream is sponsored by Betr, the official daily fantasy sponsor of the Krug Show. Use Betr to make daily fantasy lineups and win real money. Download the app below. Make sure you use the promo code Niners to get your first deposit matched to $200. Everyone who does automatically is entered into a drawing to win the free Ricky Pearsall signed red 49er number 14 jersey.
Yes, sir.
We'll give it away on Super Bowl Sunday after Super Bowl 59. All right. Let's go to our Betr lineup, and we will, once again, let's go to our Betr lineup.
I'm waiting on it.
Or
not. I mean, listen.
Maybe not. Maybe
Kev's
not.
asleep.
Kev's like, dude, I'm out. I'm not going to the Betr lineup.
Okay.
He will. He eventually
Moving
will.
We'll come back to Betr. You got any other defensive tackles you like?
We'll get to our Betr. We'll definitely get to Betr, but definitely everyone who does it automatically, everyone who signs up is automatically entered into a drawing to win a free signed Ricky Pearsall jersey, which we'll give away in the post-game show after Super Bowl 59. Okay. All right. Should we go to our Betr lineup now? Maybe
I thought that would work. Someone want to text Kev?
We'll get it. Maybe we'll do this. We'll read a couple supers.
Okay, cool.
Read a couple supers, and then we'll get back on track here. Claw Daddy Arcade says, should have put $100 on Cone's odds when it was 14-1.
That's the beauty of betting. It's always obvious after the fact.
Seriously, Claw Daddy. Fortnite would have made a nice little killing on that right there. James, isn't it interesting, by the way, we used to do everything by reporting and that kind of thing. Now it's like everything, whether we get really close to the NFL draft. It's like, who's going to go number one? It's like, do we ask Mel Kiper? Yeah, but really, if you really want to know, you just check the odds.
Yeah, that's a dangerous game to play.
Remember the odds shifted when on draft day towards Trey Lance? Remember that?
I remember that. But I've also made a tremendous amount of money with reporting over those odds. So, Paolo Banchero, number 1 overall pick, that was a windfall day for the Kurtenbach household. I don't know what was going on, but there was some rumor somewhere that he wasn't going to go 1, and I'm like, he's going 1. I have it on good authority, and pretty easy hit when he went 1 overall. Ton of money on what was it, the 2020 election? That was an easy one. It goes both ways, of course, but betting odds markets don't have to be rational. They just reflect what people are willing to pay. So be careful with them.
James Makastad, did Rap Sheet break Salah's get back coach? LOL.
I think that's in reference to the special teams coordinator.
Oh, is that the get back coach?
I think I don't know. I don't recall who the get back coach was when Robert Saleh was the DC with the Niners, but he might be getting a new job. It might be part of the deal.
Brant Boyer.
Brant
You
Boyer.
know, and it sounds to me like Robert Saleh's coattails can include Brant Boyer. And
that's fine.
Yeah. I think Robert Saleh is the right guy for this job for lots of reasons. I think he's the right guy for this job because the players want him. I think he's the right guy for this job because he allows them to have continuity. I think he's the right guy for this job because they like their coaches. They don't want to tear apart their coaching staff. They don't want to start from the beginning. They want to have somebody who can walk right in, knows their personnel, knows their way of doing things. We're going to go better right now. We're going to go better.
Awesome.
We're not messing around anymore. But anyway, we'll take that off. But yes, we will do our better lineup right now. But everyone who signs up automatically is entered into a drawing to win the Ricky Pearsall signed 14 jersey on Super Bowl Sunday. All right, we can pick either game. Which game? We can pick both games if you want. Is there which game you want to start with?
Let's go with Philly. Let's start with Philly and Washington.
Let's see what we got. Let's check out Jaden Daniels.
Okay.
54.5 rush yards.
That's saucy. That's too much for me. I go fewer. Less.
He doesn't throw picks. Do you think he throws one in this game?
I'll take the less on rushing yards and more on picks.
You think he'll throw a pick?
He's going to throw a pick.
Rushing yards he's run for a lot of yards at times. You just don't think he's going to do it in this game.
No, I got too much respect for Vic Fangio. He's going to make him push it down the field again and again and again. And he might do it, but that's how it's going to go.
Yeah, I like that too. Let's go less than 54.5 rush yards. I think that makes sense. And let's go to who else? Let's go to Eckler because I think Eckler is going to be their dump-off valve.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that could be interesting. What's his I like Eckler, 24.5 receiving yards.
I like that. That's good. I'll play it. Yeah.
They're going to throw it to him a bunch.
What do we have on passing yards for Jalen Hurts?
Let's see. They're going to run the ball.
Wow, 183.5.
Yeah, that's such a low number.
Wow. I don't know about that one.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, after looking at him last week, does he get 33 rushing yards?
No.
No way. Against this Washington team? No way. I would say go under less than.
I don't know if it has anything to do with this Washington team, but yeah, I would take less than that on the rushing yards.
I don't like that. I like Gainwell maybe to have more rush yards. 8.5 rush yards?
Got to mix it up.
Gainwell?
It's not a bad play.
Or is there one? Do you like AJ Brown?
No, I don't like anything in the Philly pass game.
Okay. Let's wait a second. Let's go to Ertz because Ertz against his former team.
Oh, that's
Washington.
an interesting thought.
Let me see Ertz.
Longest catch?
No.
He can get 14 yards on a catch.
I like the rushing or receiving touchdown. Give me Ertz on a touchdown.
Okay.
It's a yellow though. What's the yellow mean?
Who knows? We're about to find out.
The multiplier. Ooh, I hit the multiplier. No, I was kidding. All right, here we go. There we go. That's what we're going with. We're going with that. We're going with 4.
Okay.
But we hit the multiplier.
With the multiplier.
So we have Daniels 54.5 rush yards less than. We have Austin Eckler more than 24.5 receiving yards, so at least 25. Hurts under 33 rush yards, and Zach Ertz for a touchdown. Let's see
We
what
are
it adds up
expecting
to.
an ass ugly game.
Yeah, seriously. Looking forward to this game. Let's see what do we win? But wait, what do we win?
400.
Is it really? Yes. Oh my goodness. That's big. That's big.
10-1 on that.
Look at that.
20-1.
Look at that. 20-1 on that. I like it.
Boost
I like
it up,
it.
baby.
What's the most nervous of all of those?
Ertz. Right? It's such a specific.
He's got to score.
There's going to be 2 touchdowns from Washington in this game. He's got to get one of them. Yeah. No.
But he is such a red zone guy.
No, I get it. I like where your head's at. Good narrative, Everyone wants to poo-poo narrative picks, but like the people who call the plays are people too. And they think about stuff like that. Like, oh, it'd be cool to do this. And then they do it. It doesn't always work out, but like.
Well, I mean, how many times? I mean, I've watched baseball for years.
Yeah.
Dusty always got the guy who was going against his former team into the lineup against his former team. Always.
100%.
Because he just believed over the course of the long haul that the guys who care the most, it matters that you care. And if you want to get back at your other team, your old team, then there you go. Nick Sorensen will not be 8-4. So thanks to Betr for sponsoring the Krug Show, and I feel good about that lineup.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Nick Sorensen is out because that's also been reported that whether or not they haven't officially named a special teams coach,
right.
but it won't be Nick Sorensen. He's out. How would you sum up to somebody who maybe wasn't as close to it as you, Dieter? How would you sum up the Nick Sorensen era?
They gave an opportunity to a nice guy with no qualifications, and it blew up in their face. The fact that Nick Sorensen isn't being interviewed for any other jobs, and they're like, I guess we'll keep him around because we like Nick Sorensen, tells you kind of everything you need to know. Just nice guy, kind of the government worker of football coaches. Like, nothing spectacular. Puts in his time card on time. Just, they thought that would work. They thought that the infrastructure was strong enough that they could just have a company man handle it. No fuss, no muss. Easy with HR. And they were totally wrong because that's not how the NFL works. The NFL requires innovation and creativity and motivation. And he could provide none of those things. He couldn't even do organization. Like, the defense was not coordinated. They had 12 men on the field on back-to-back plays. So
thank you, Devondre Campbell.
Right. Like, there is no.
But stop covering for him.
Well, I think
they covered for him.
I think he's doing a great job, Larry.
Devondre's a veteran leader, and he is led like a veteran. Yeah, right.
There was no anything there. So one of the worst burns I've ever heard is when I was covering the Raiders, and I asked somebody inside the facility who was in these meetings, like, what's Todd Downing like do when he was named the offensive coordinator because he was Derek Carr's church buddy? And I'm like, I'm not seeing anything. Like, I don't understand. He's just calling plays in a vacuum. It's uninteresting. What does he do? Like, what are these meetings like? I won't give up the source, but the person goes, ideas. I'm like, yeah, ideas, like the basic premise of thought and all that. He goes, Todd doesn't have ideas. Like, he's just not a person with ideas. I thought about that a lot when we were watching Nick Sorensen. He's just not a guy with ideas. So how are you supposed to get any better? You have a bad team, and this guy doesn't have ideas. He's just around a non-playable character in a video game. Nothing there. And but a nice guy. Nice guy who will say the right thing.
I would sum it up the same way that he would sum up every mistake that the Niners ever made.
We're trying real hard.
Hey, communication breakdown. Just communication breakdown. What happened? You didn't see the Sorensen era? Communication. Hey, my bad, man. Communication breakdown.
Isn't your job to facilitate communication? What is it you would say a coordinator does, Nick?
Just communication breakdown, man.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. Hey, communication breakdown.
Here's a good question.
It's a coverall. It works, though, in this situation. I think it's very applicable. Communication breakdown. Kyle had a little communication breakdown. They wanted to get a good defensive coordinator. They were all taken up.
Yeah.
And so they had a little communication breakdown, and they're like, you know what? We can get by with just, a guy in-house for a year. It'll be fine. And it wasn't fine.
Communication breakdown.
Communication breakdown.
I have said a lot of negative things about Steve Wilks, and I take back none of them. But I can point to players who got better under Steve. Like Diamador Lenore got markedly better under Steve Wilks. Like Jair Brown played well under Steve Wilks, even if Steve Wilks didn't like him. Like there were players that did well under Steve Wilks. Who played better under Nick Sorensen? Not because of, I can't tell you who's responsible or not, but like whose career is in a better place today because of Nick Sorensen? I don't think there's anybody. The rookies. How do you know that is as good as they could have been this year? Maybe they were held back. I don't know. There's no frame of reference. Who's
it's hard to
better?
say. It's hard to say. I'm not saying that Nick Sorensen's a horrible football coach. He might be a really smart guy. He doesn't have a lot of presence. I didn't sense a lot of fire.
That was their big thing, right? They wanted energy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
I get
low
it.
energy,
You know
but
what?
I don't.
Like,
I'll
you need
say
to
this.
go out and kill. It's defense.
If it got into if I saw an argument in the hallway between Nick Sorensen and somebody from the scouting department about the defense, I'd side with Nick Sorensen. So
I get that. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's always about
if I
the
walk
Joes
up into the
before the
Niner
X's and
complex
O's,
and they got the director of scouting over there, and you got Nick Sorensen over here, and they're fighting about who's really to blame, I'm over with Sorensen going, hey, look, what the heck? I mean,
100%.
I had Buckner and Armstead, and now I've got I don't.
Jordan
And
Elliott.
I had
Malik
Aziz
Collins.
and Greenlaw and Warner.
Yeah.
Now I have Warner and
Devondre
DFF
Campbell.
and Devondre.
Yeah.
I don't want to play any more Campbell. Get me out of here.
But again, Sorensen didn't do anything to mitigate it. And I will say that he was hamstrung by the circumstances. Like Kyle hired him specifically because he wouldn't rock the boat in a season where the one thing that defensive coordinator should have done is rock the boat and been aggressive and tried stuff. And it's not to say that it would have fixed anything, but at least they wouldn't have just taken it rolling over, which is what they did.
Well, I mean, what was the worst to me? If you wanted to show like a play, I'll tell you, you want to show a play that would sum up the season. That might be a great topic sometime if you're ever if you're really talking to fans who really remember the whole goddamn season. Sorry for the swearing, but I'll
give you one.
now.
I'll give you a goddamn.
I'll give you the
play.
one that stands out to me. You give me you know what the play that just typifies this whole season was the touchdown, and I love this guy. He was great for the year, but the touchdown that they gave up to Amon-Ra.
Yes.
In the end zone when Renardo Green's like guarding the 4 yards deep in the end zone and not the goal
played
line.
Soft zone.
And
the red zone.
In the end zone. I mean, the guy
John
you're
Lynch
playing
on the
off
broadcast
you're playing
Why
off.
are you playing zone?
It's like, do you get more points for getting deep into the end zone? I mean,
that was
why are you guarding the back of the end zone? Oh my God! It was the kind of lack of urgency, bad call, no accountability. My bad. Just enough. Goodbye.
It's one thing
that right there
Wilks
was like
goes
goodbye.
cover zero,
That was the end.
Like Wilks does cover zero. Okay, right? He was being aggressive, and Kyle doesn't like that, so he gets fired because he did that.
Well, that was a stupid call too.
It was a stupid call too. Don't get me wrong, but at least it's an air of commission.
Right.
And there is no.
Yeah, at least he's out there trying to be aggressive.
He's trying to do something. He's wrong, but he was trying to do something.
Right. Which I can respect that. Yeah, absolutely.
Correct. Playing a soft zone on the 4 yard line is not respectable.
No.
There's no circumstance in which that's ever acceptable. That never works. It's never worked once. I think that maybe he does have ideas. And he's like, they'll never see this coming. They won't know what to do because no one in their right mind has ever played a soft zone at the 4-yard line. They won't know what to do. They'll just run into us.
I mean, it's just, every good coach of defensive football, especially if you're coaching DBs.
Yeah.
I mean, the number one thing you have to know at any level of football to be a good defensive back is you have to know on every play, down and distance.
Right.
The position is all predicated on the urgency that is connected to down and distance. If you don't know the down and distance and you're just out there, that's not enough. You have to know your down and distance, and you have to play with urgency and intelligence. I mean, you show me coverage, and someone says, is that good coverage? I don't know. What's the down and distance? If I know the down and distance, I can tell you if it's good coverage. Otherwise, I don't really know if it's good coverage because there's different ways to play it. It could be incredible coverage if it's 3rd and 22, but if it's 3rd and 5, no, it's not good coverage. If Renardo Green, if the back of the end zone is the goal, Renardo Green did a great job. If you're trying to defend the goal line, not so much.
It was unbelievable. Also unbelievable. This is a little more nuanced. When they played the Chiefs in week 7, was it?
Yeah.
And Mecole Hardman ran that flippin' end around that they ran 3 times every game
Niner
before.
Play against them.
They ran the Niner play against them. And it's like, did you do
they got
any
toyed
prep?
With.
Any prep whatsoever? Andy Reid was just like, check this out.
I mean, go get that guy, by the way. I mean, that would be the guy to go get if you're the 49ers. Go get a Mecole Hardman.
Just do something. I'm just saying
that
the fact that they were able to run all of their, like, Andy Reid had 2 weeks to prepare, and he's like, what if we just did the exact same thing? Because they can't stop it. And Nick Sorensen's like, you're right, we can't. And we didn't prepare for this. Because we were hoping that you would be on the 4-yard line so we could play some soft zone.
Let's get a couple more of these supers. DeBig says, "Sorry guys, just joined late, but Salah won't have the talent he had in 2019. Hopefully, defensive scheme changes. He better have good talent because they got a whole offseason to get him talent, and it's inexcusable not to show up in camp with a ton of talent. There's just too many ways. There's too many good football players out there. You have too much access to them. There's all kinds of moves to make." Make them.
And the flip side of that is the reason that Robert Saleh is getting hired, if he does indeed put pen to paper here, is because Kyle trusts him. And when Kyle trusts, he trusted Robert Saleh, he trusted D'Amico Ryans, he'll invest the money on that side of the ball. If he doesn't, Nick Sorensen, Steve Wilkes, they didn't invest money on that side of the ball in those years. Now, maybe there wasn't as much money to go around, but like they re-signed their guys, sure, but they didn't go out and get those big free agents, right? If you trust, they'll go spend the big time bucks to go get impact players because they trust they'll be used correctly. And there's not going to be a question with that with Robert Saleh. He doesn't have to be taking time out of his offensive meetings to go check in on the defense. He doesn't have to worry about them. And he can give him big, shiny new toys if he so desires, and he's going to trust that they're going to be used correctly because he'll be part of the conversations on buying them. So, they absolutely need to add talent, but if you have a defensive coordinator that you trust, it becomes easier to add that talent because you're not picking up square pegs for round holes.
Yeah. I mean, and he's got a good eye for it as well, probably. You just got to get overall, I'll tell you my whole evaluation of the Niners, and I spent a lot of time on it. It's they overall lack speed across the board. I mean, they just lack speed. I mean, the defensive tackles really stand out. They need another offensive tackle. They need a center. They need another guard. But, I mean, they lack speed. They lack speed at wide receiver. They lack speed at corner. They lack speed at safety. They lack speed at linebacker. They lack speed at defensive end. They lack speed. They lack a lot of speed.
And they're not like the Chargers where they're going to punch you in the mouth 50 times in a row because that's what they love to do. Like, if you're slow, you need to be the meanest, baddest sons of bitches on the planet. They're not that either. So there's some guys that are like that, but that's not their identity, right? They've kind of built this sort of finesse game on both sides of the ball. And obviously there's plenty of physicality, don't get me wrong, but there is a level of trickiness to both offensive and defensive schemes that, yeah, you need speed. You need dudes who make you go, wow. And when was the last time the 49ers on either side of the ball made you say, wow?
Well, I mean, just prioritize speed. There are guys that will be available in the free agent market. I mean, I'll give you one guy that I really, really love. Is Willie Gay. I think Willie Gay is such a fast player that he helps your team speed. I mean, he would help their team speed. Ricky Williams says, is Burford ceiling a swing guard at this point? And I think Burford's a future starter. I really do. I know some people don't, but I think Burford's smart. I think he's perfect NFL body. He's got long arms. He carries his weight perfectly. He is exactly the prototype body type of what you're looking for of a guy to play 10 to 12 years in the NFL. It's taken him a year or two to figure it out. He still has more to go, but he's smart. He's hardworking. He wants it. I think Burford will be a good NFL player before he's all said and done.
I won't speak to his ceiling being swing guard, but that's what he's going to be for this team this upcoming year, and that's a pretty good backup to have. Like, I got no problem with Spencer Burford being on the team. Also wouldn't have a problem if they wanted to move on either. Like, he hasn't shown that much, so it's just how much do you want to keep buying into potential. Ultimately, the Niners at that position, they're going to probably keep buying into the potential. So no problem with it at all, but they do need to get a new starting left guard or right guard and flip Pooney over, and they probably need a new center too. But that's just the start of it. So
I think a future, left tackle, right tackle. I mean, they need another big old tackle.
Agreed.
James Foster says Ashton Davis 831 baby.
He'd be a great pickup. So, I mean, price has got to be right, but he'd be a really good pickup.
He's a great athlete. Scott Sullivan said, since we might never hear from him again, can we get a Trent Baalke for the road?
I'm going to hang out in the press box and watch over all you guys. Scott,
that's better.
Guys like you, guys who haven't torn their ACL, come in here talking big, all kinds of jibber jabber. But let me tell you, you're not going to fool good old Trent Baalke, all right? I'm looking for guys who have blown out their ACL. I'm looking for running backs that can no longer do the job. I'm looking for runners that can't run, tacklers that can't tackle. I look at Trayvon Walker and I say, you know what? I'm taking that guy over Aiden Hutchinson because I got a death wish. And I don't like living in Jacksonville. I don't like the bugs, Lowry. I'm telling you, I enjoyed Northern California. I don't like it down here. So, hey, Shad Khan, good luck with Liam Cohen or Cohen Liam or whatever his name is. But I'll tell you, good old Trent Baalke's a survivor. I'll go work for the league. I'll work for Blesto. Heck, I might be the Our Lads draft guy specialist, but you never know. Good old Trent Baalke. I'll resurface, damn it. And I'll say one more thing to you, Lowry. I like my linebackers, all right? I like my linebackers.
It's elite. It's elite, unlike Trent Baalke.
Trent Baalke.
He
had Gerald Hodges, and he's like telling us he loved his linebackers. He had Gerald Hodges and Bowman off the worst knee injury anybody's ever seen, and he's like, we love our linebackers.
He's going to be the number one consultant to the Cowboys next year, and then somehow be the only man who can take down Jerry and get the GM title. Trent Baalke.
I got compromising pictures on everybody in the league.
I think it's time for Trent Baalke to take his act international. He should be like the general manager of like a team in like Amsterdam or something.
The Rain Fire needs a new GM. I'm going with my man Jim Tomsula in Cologne, Germany. There's nothing like a scouting trip and having a little pasta. You know what I'm saying, Lowry?
All right, there you go. Thank you, Scott. G-Code Travels Vlog POV. If Shedeur Sanders fell to pick 11 or the top prospects, would the Niners consider drafting Sanders?
Okay, or the top prospects is the part that mixes me up here. So if you have a top prospect and he falls to you at 11, should you take him? The answer is yes. Would you take Shadur Sanders? If he's falling to you at 11, the answer is no.
You know, it's funny that G-Code travel vlog
POV. There's a lot going on there.
There's a lot going on there. You know, it's funny that he's like read my notes or read my mind because, you know, actually the next topic of the live stream is give me your today first round plan for the 25 draft. Give me your today plan. And when I say that, it's because, you know, guys like Dieter and I, we do have a today plan.
Oh, yeah.
But we also have, like, it's going to evolve between now and the combine, now and the draft,
Larry,
now and the workouts.
You haven't seen this goddamn, this unbelievable
So I'm gonna share
amount.
the screen here. Here we're just going to do this little exercise. We're going to go first round right here.
Larry, I got 7 prospects I got to grade out here. What are we doing? Okay.
Stop. All right, here we go.
I got a spreadsheet, baby.
Here we go. Dave Lombardi with us. No, I'm just joking. Dave, if you're watching, I love you, brother. All right, here we go.
Mason Graham, done.
Okay, wait a second. So far in this draft, Shadur Sanders went 1, which I cannot believe that would happen.
Let's go with that.
Abdul Carter went 2. Matt Miller from ESPN told me that he would take Abdul Carter number 1. Okay.
I get that.
From Penn State. Cam Ward goes 3 to the New York Giants. They have their quarterback.
Yep.
Travis Hunter, the all-world player from Colorado. He's a corner, though. Even though I know he was everything at Colorado, he's a corner in the NFL.
Totally.
He's going 4 to New England. They'll have Christian Gonzalez and Travis Hunter. That's pretty damn good.
That's awesome. And
the Raiders at 5
safeties.
go Ashton Gianti. That would just be so Raiders.
By the way, they traded up to get him, apparently.
That would just be so Raiders. So unvalue-like.
You know what? I have a really hot take. You ready for this?
Yes.
Ashton Gianti's not going in the first round.
Wow. That's incredible. That's amazing. It'll be interesting to see what his 40 is, because if you're right, if his 40 is
awesome, but like his 40 is going to be slow. And
he's going to have a good 40. He's going to have a sub 4.5 40.
And he doesn't have any sort of impressive height, and he's a running
very
back.
Short.
And it's like, this is such a classic thing of, we know Ashton Gianti because he had this incredible flipping season, which he did. There's no way, you can't take that away. You know, but when you get to run up against UNLV 3 times a year, it's going to look a little different. What happened when they played Penn State? He got his teeth kicked in. I don't think he's going in the first round. I wouldn't take him in the first.
I wouldn't either. But I mean, here's why I wouldn't take him in the first round. This is the greatest running back draft I've ever seen.
Every year's like that now, Lair.
But I mean, this year it's unbelievable. I mean, there's so many great running backs. I love this running back draft. There's like 20 running backs in this draft that I know are going to be great.
I would take both of the Ohio State running backs over Ashton Gianti.
I do love Judkins, man. Quinshon.
I love both.
I love both.
I love Henderson.
I know Kev loves Henderson too. I think Quinshon Judkins is just
He's awesome. They're both fantastic.
Quinshon's going in round 3. Henderson's going in round 2.
So why are you taking Ashton Gianti in the first round?
That's the Raiders.
That's fair.
So
that's
Will Johnson goes 6, even though he didn't play this year. Malachi Starks goes 7 for Georgia, the free safety. He's awesome. Mikael Williams, who looks like he's been weaned on a Nautilus machine. He's just so ridiculously ripped. Yeah. He goes 8 to Carolina. Scourton, the transfer from A&M, goes 9. And he's like 280 pounds. He's a really good football player, but I don't know, man.
I don't think you're going number 9 as a 5 technique, but that's just my thought.
I don't think he's a 5 technique, though. I
think he's
just
a 3?
No, I think he's an outside guy. He's an
he's an edge 7 at 280?
Yeah. Oh, he's not quite 280. And then Pierce, who's on the other end, he's like 230.
I'm not a big
he's
Pierce
going
guy
10.
yet.
So now we're at 11. Okay, so now here's the Niners. And you have trade offers here. You can get next year's Dallas 3rd for moving down 1 spot.
No?
Okay.
Reject it.
Or you can trade back to 27 with Baltimore if you get picked 99 and you get 27, 59, 91 in the 2nd and the 3rd next year.
It's exceptionally enticing, but I'm going to say no because of who I see on the board.
Okay. So now we're over here on the board. Now, you have Mason Graham as the highest rated player. He's supposed to go 4th, and he's on the board. Michigan defensive tackle. I would say kind of a Justin Smith kind of a guy, except Justin Smith was a defensive end at Missouri and just kept getting bigger.
That's right.
This guy, and he had short arms. This guy's got longer arms. This guy's also one of the most fundamentally sound players. He's kind of a weird,
grinder.
bad-bodied, barrel-chested kind of a. He doesn't look like a big-time athlete, but then when you watch him, he just so dominates that it's he's almost like a perfect player. He's a true blue chipper. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So
I don't think there's
between
much
those two. These guys all right here. I mean, it's either Mason Graham, McMillan's a superstar type wide receiver, 6'5". A lot of people, Mel Kiper says the Niners are going Kelvin Banks, but I wouldn't. And then there's Luther Burden from Missouri. What do you think? I mean,
I like Luther Burden a lot, but I don't think that he has. If I got a nitpick here on a Missouri Tiger, I mean, he doesn't play strong. He takes himself out of games sometimes, but he is as explosive as anybody in college football in the open field. But what I don't see is the kind of hyper elite speed that makes it mentally easy to translate it. So I do think Luther Burden is a first round pick, but he's not this early a first round pick.
All right. Well, so what do you want to do? You want a Mason Graham?
It's Mason Graham. I mean, he's the number one defensive tackle in this class. It's not even particularly close, in my opinion. And that's your number one need. So you go with Mason Graham. I'm going to reject all these trades, too, because of who I see on the board.
Okay, here we go. We'll reject. And now
you take Campbell.
You like Jihad Campbell?
Jihad Campbell's the best linebacker in this class. He's an immediate weak side linebacker next to Fred Warner.
What about Membo here from Missouri?
Membo's an outstanding option, so it really does come down now to positional need. I mean, so let me ask you, Larry, do you feel comfortable with Membo playing guard in year one?
I think I like Membo more here because here's why. Because I can find David Benda, Larry Asante, and there's like 6 or 7 really fast linebackers that are really intriguing. Yep. Campbell's really good. Don't get me wrong, but the Alabama guys have had kind of a bad run.
They play with reckless abandon. They come in banged up.
It's a hard school to evaluate because
I'm very comfortable with Membo here for what it's worth.
I like Membo. I think to me when I watched his film, I was wowed.
He's unbelievable. I mean, he doesn't win blocks. He defeats entire family lines when he takes you on. He's a mean
Membo.
SOB.
All right, so now
I guess
we're on the top of the. Now I'm looking at this and I'm going Denzel Burke. I like Denzel Burke.
Lot to like with Denzel Burke. I like Chris Paul Jr., but not here.
Okay, I like him too, but not here. Omar Norman Lott. It went to Grant High School in Sacramento, and he's a beast as a defensive interior player.
This is kind of a no man's land too, because I'm not in on Ransom. I would not have him at 82. And that's kind of where I want to go.
Cy Alexander's interesting corner. Shamar Turner's interesting. Scatabo, if you like Scatabo.
No, I'm not a Scatabo
Quinn
guy.
Ewers.
Not a Quinn Ewers guy.
Okay.
I'd be more of a Will Howard guy, but certainly not here.
See, now
we're in
that draft.
Oh, Castro. Castro's a fascinating player. He has
Iowa.
He has no position, right? He's a box safety. He's got the crazy though, Larry. This dude is everywhere. He flies. And I think that if we've kind of learned anything from this past season with the Niners, you have to have a real passion and a real motor if you're going to be successful. I think drafting on spec and these guys who, they fit the position just right, they have all this athleticism, I'm starting to think that might be for the birds. Because if you don't have this internal drive to go out and kill, particularly on defense, you can't teach that at the NFL level. So I don't think that Castro's the play here. I would prefer him on day 3. So are there any trades that we can take?
By the way, in this draft, the Chiefs wind up with Colston Loveland. That is not – if that happens –
And Mubaka, who's
Yeah,
Awesome.
Makuba. You mean Makuba?
Apologize.
Yeah, I mean, but Loveland behind Travis Kelce, and they get him at the last pick of the second round. If that happens, I will puke. I will absolutely see what they got in the first round in this draft. Oh, they got Trey Harris, who's an awesome wide receiver.
They're just
That's
nailing
incredible.
it. If
the Chiefs go Trey,
ever.
oh, that would be the worst. If the Chiefs went Trey Harris, Colston Loveland, Andrew Makuba, I'd puke.
That's like the
puke.
Steelers every year. You're like, oh, that's a good pick.
Yeah, that was just. But like Denzel Burke, the guy that I would probably take here. Yeah. I'm a big fan of this offensive tackle.
Jesus, Larry, let's trade down if we're going to come down this far.
Anthony Belton.
I haven't watched Belton yet.
Oh my God, he's a beast. He's a total monster. And you're at 99. The other guy that I really like, let me see if he's here. The more I watch, the more I'm thinking, wow, this guy's amazing. Have you seen Ty Robinson right here from Nebraska?
I have. He's very good.
Ty Robinson. Let's go Ty Robinson because I think he's a monster. I think you're talking about 6'6". I mean 6'6", 310, and just a country strong. Throws guys around. I mean, the Niners have to take over the middle again. They're too soft in the middle. This draft would do a lot to improve that.
Alfred Collins would fix that.
So what direction you want now? Now we can go anybody here.
I'll tell you, I like Shamar Turner at this spot.
Really?
But that's a lot of defensive tackles.
That's all right. The bottom line is they're going to need all these guys.
That's fair.
Now here's a trade I would make. If you get offered this kind of a trade where you're at pick 112 in the fourth round and somebody's going to
double
offer
up in the fourth, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I'm definitely doing that. I would definitely do that.
Okay.
So now here we are, pick 134.
Okay, Danny Stutzman from was that Oklahoma?
Yep.
Yeah, hard sell. Malachi Moore, good option.
This is the guy that I love here.
Really? I haven't watched any running backs yet.
Monangai.
Okay.
This guy's got one of the best contact balance I think I've ever seen. I mean, this guy's got contact balance that is crazy. Crazy. I love him. So
let's do it. Yeah.
Okay, now you got two picks. Stutzman from Oklahoma. You want that guy, the linebacker?
I wouldn't do Gabriel.
Let's see.
Bassa, McCord.
Jake Majors, the center.
Ooh, Jake Majors is a good pick. But Nash, the wide receiver from San Jose State, Triple Crown winner this past year in college football. It doesn't help you with your speed, but not someone to scoff at in terms of an NFL draft prospect. Forget his first name, Nash.
Nick Nash.
Nick Nash. He was awesome. He was their quarterback, and they converted him
wide
over.
Receiver of the year. He was awesome. A dual threat quarterback. Transition to wide receiver. Known for his speed, reliable hands, and slot versatility.
He's long. Kind of reminds me of Kendrick Bourne.
Really? We can go Nick Nash. A little local pick there.
Yeah, why not?
Let's see.
Thea Weiss is going to help you with your speed, but that's too early. He's a late pick. Jake Majors is a pretty good option.
Yeah, Jake Majors. I saw him there. He would not be bad. Antoine Powell-Ryland is a pretty good edge rusher.
Can we get a punter or a kicker? This feels like a good round for one.
No. There'll be no punter. There'll be no kicker. Anybody who even tries to draft a punter or a kicker, just attack them.
Yeah.
Anybody who even suggests it, let's go Jake Majors.
Okay.
That's safe. You get a nice Texas center who probably could plug and play.
This is the peril of drafting for the 49ers. There's so many picks.
Well, this is where now you're in round 5.
Kid.
Now this is where I think you got to look for the linebackers.
Yeah.
Okay. And you've got probably a lot of Cody. Look at this board right here. You've got let's see. You've got Kaiser from Notre Dame.
Cody Simon is an absolute steal here.
Yeah, I like Cody Simon quite a bit. And then you've got other guys too. So down the list. So let's go Cody Simon.
No question.
And then they need multiple guys here. So let's stay at linebacker and see what else they got.
Might be a minute.
There we go.
There we go.
Let's see, because there's other guys in this list. Sonny Styles.
Not a Styles guy.
I like David Benda, and I love David Benda. I love Eugene Asante.
What do they have? What do they have on the offensive line? I know that we want to stick with linebacker, but what's left at offensive line?
Let's see. Offensive line, you got a tackle, or these are the tackles. Drew Shelton from Penn State's a monster.
Nothing.
J.C. Davis from Illinois, I really like. He went to McClymonds, and he played right tackle for Illinois this year. I think he played left tackle last year. But I watched Illinois, and this guy just blows people off the ball, man.
What about
this guy's a monster? And also this Ruben Fothery from A&M's monster.
Hell of a
I watch A&M every week. Miles Hinton, who transferred from Stanford to Michigan, is kind of a monster. There's one other guy on this list that I thought was pretty
Spencer Brown. That's a different Spencer Brown, I imagine.
Yeah, it's not him. Let's see. Guard. Oh, there's some good guards.
Lampkin. Yeah.
Lampkin.
Tate. Huber.
This guy right here from Sac State, Jackson Slater. This guy's a good player.
Just save him. We can come back. We can do the
Marcus Ware. Marcus Ware from Montana State is a total brawler.
Marcus Ware, yeah.
I love this guy right here, Javontes Spraggins from Tennessee. He is seriously this guy's an absolute road grader. So and Seth McLaughlin's a good center for Ohio State. I don't know if you watched him. Wide receivers, Elijah Badger's kind of interesting from Florida.
Yeah.
It's not a vintage, as you can see here. It's not a vintage year for wide receivers. Zachary Franklin's not bad. He's a
last
transfer.
year was the receiver draft.
It's not a. I mean, this is like a witness protection program here.
Jesus, Macklin, love it. Oh man,
I
know all those names.
You can go Riley Leonard here.
I know you want to.
Well, I did, but now I'm not. Now I'm done with Riley Leonard. I just I don't think he's enough. I don't think there's enough arm there. I don't think there's enough arm.
I don't know who has the arm in the late rounds.
I'll tell you the guy. The defensive tackle position is probably where I'd go here.
Okay.
Let's see. Wait.
Riley Mills.
Let's see. There it is. There's
Riley Mills was a hell of a player for Notre Dame until he got
all
injured.
These guys are pretty good here. Riley Mills, Thor Griffith, DeMonte Capehart from Clemson is a monster.
Holy shit, Capehart's there? No, you should take Capehart.
Yeah, he's just.
I thought he was coming back. Whatever.
Yeah, he might be. I mean, this is early. Some of these guys may come back.
If he's in the draft and he's somewhere available in round 6, I mean, he's like a second round talent.
Yeah. Let's see. There's always on the other spot. There's always a lot of good edge rushers late. Baron Sorrell is like a 4.2 student, and he's like 6'2", 260. Pretty good player. Kamen Rucker from North Carolina, pretty good player. Anto Saka from Northwestern is really athletic. Really athletic.
Yeah, I am so far behind on my edge rushers.
Steve Linton from Baylor,
yeah.
Really, really athletic. Those are the guys that stand out to me. Oh, Mikhail Kamara, of course, from Indiana. He's shorter, but he's really good. I mean, 6'1", 260. I definitely would be interested in him.
Can we go to the safety real fast? I'm wondering probably not. Xavier Wakpa from Iowa. He's probably way gone. Major Burns is an interesting player.
Yeah, and R.J. Mickens, that's Ray Mickens' kid. Ray Mickens, who played corner at A&M. That's his son who plays at Clemson. He's a pretty good player. He's the captain. Miles Brooks and Yam Banks. Those two guys are pretty good.
Good safety class.
Yeah, not bad.
Wow.
KJ Wallace from UCLA.
Yeah, you can go wherever you want on this one, Lair. I'm tapped.
I'm going with Thor Griffith now. Let's see. I love this guy, Nash Hutmaker.
Oh yeah, that's your guy.
I mean, I seriously love Nash. He's a wrestler. He's a bear. So now I think I got both Nash and Ty Robinson. And then edge rushers. I mean, if you go down this list, if you go to the bottom of this list, there's some guys. Let's see. The guy from Northwestern is just, I think, I'm not sure if he's still there. There he is. Anto Saka.
Okay, good to know.
crazy athletic.
So many picks, Larry. Trade some of these picks.
I know it's a lot of picks, but let's see. We'll just finish with. I think the deepest late in the draft. I think the deepest spot in this draft is running back, and I love this guy right here. Well, I love all these.
Donovan Edwards is available.
No, I love Mario Anderson. He from Memphis. He was a transfer, but if you watch Memphis this year, he was just absolutely crazy. He's like a bow-legged guy, but he was awesome in the bowl game. He was great. The school he was at before. He's done it in multiple systems. I think he was the MVP of the Hula Bowl.
This is too many picks. This is 12 men is too many men.
But you know what? I don't think so, because look at this. If you could add this team, this group of players to what the Niners had, you're adding Mason Graham.
You added 5 defensive tackles.
Yeah, but
we might have overdone it with the defensive tackles.
I don't know if they're any good. The ones they have now.
That's fair.
They got a clean house up front. You're adding Membo, who's just a gigantic behemoth guard / right tackle.
I love the first 2 rounds.
And Majors, who moves people in the run games. This Monangi, you really have to check out. Teeter, you'll love him. Cody Simon's, I think, a fast, productive linebacker. Capart is a steal at that point.
That's wild. There's something wrong with the system there.
Anyway, there you go. There was our quick exercise in mock draft.
Yes, extremely quick. Only took a half hour.
Only took a half hour to do a mock draft. Couple last thoughts. Dre Greenlaw.
Yeah.
According to reports, they projected him to sign a deal for 1 year, $6 million. You know, if that is indeed what he is going to get, I think that's a no-brainer. You have to bring him back.
Of course. Yeah, without a question.
If he's getting $6 million for 1 year, you got to get him. I don't
even know if it precludes you from bringing in a Sherwood, though probably he would not be as enticed to come. Might love Robert Saleh though, so he deserves an opportunity to prove that he's not the guy that he once was. At that price, no problem.
Couple last thoughts before we get out of here. Do we get all the supers? Wait a second. Since we let's see. Somebody says, Larry, do you still want to sign Campbell to that big extension you were talking about? Is he joking? Bay Area Ease. Hello, Larry and D. Love the show. Thanks for keeping us informed. Hope the Niners make a comeback in 2025. Looks like it with Salah news. God bless you both. Go Niners. Oh, that's a nice sentiment.
Thank you.
DeBig says 100. Agree this team lacks speed, especially on the offense. Playoff teams look much faster and younger.
Oh, yeah. It was comical watching the game with the Lions, right? And like the Niners gave the Lions a good run, and then just Gibbs. Just like, oh, that's different. That's not a thing that the Niners have at all.
He's so special, man. He is so special. Couple last thoughts before we get out of here. The Warriors beat up on the Bulls tonight.
Who hasn't?
131-106. Quentin Post had 20 points.
Yeah,
he hit five threes. The bench led the way tonight. Guy Santos also had a really good night off the bench.
Yeah.
Golden State's third quarter defense,
it's good.
Really, really strong. They get the Lakers Saturday. But good win against the Bulls. Quentin Post said in the interview afterwards, I guess he's from the Netherlands.
Yep.
That his idols are Rick Smits and Dirk Nowitzki.
There you go.
And he said he talked to Rick Smits the other day, and that was kind of cool. But I mean, I'm telling you, the Warriors have found something in Quentin Post. This guy has a ton of talent. I mean, it's intriguing, man. This guy is going to be nice around Steph Curry. If Steph Curry and this guy want to work on some two-man game, Quentin Post and Steph Curry could be a very nice little combo. Quentin Post is nice. He reminds me of just the way the ball comes off his hand and the way his shot looks and the way he shoots it. It reminds me of Bill Laimbeer. Now, I realize that's for you younger people who are like, who's Bill Laimbeer? Bill Laimbeer played with the Bad Boy Pistons in the 80s, but he was more of a bruiser than this guy. But this guy also is not a puss. This guy's tough.
Yeah, he's got no athleticism, though.
But this guy has a fantastic shot.
He does.
And it's already coming. Wait until the shot is generally the last thing to arrive. And when you can have a player like this who can be a threat from beyond the arc, you don't understand how much space this creates because
I do.
No, not you, but I mean, just people don't understand how much space when you can shoot the ball from the perimeter and you're 6'10" or taller. The closeout that you have to close out on a guy to even affect that shot is crazy. You got to really get out there, which creates so much room. And I just think this player, I mean, Santos is kind of fun too, actually. And Santos got a really nice looking shot too. He's a little bit more of just like the flavor of the day. But Quentin Post.
Oh, but Quentin Post isn't.
No. Quentin Post is going to have an NBA career. I mean, he is good. I mean, you're talking about a big man who can. He can shoot the basketball, and he's not a stiff. Like, I saw him move his feet defensively, and I'm like, whoa, for a guy, if you saw a guy in the 90s or 2000s that could shoot the ball like that from the perimeter as a 7-footer, he generally could not move his feet at all. This guy can move his feet. This is an athlete. This guy's athletic, man. For when you really think about how well he moves his feet for being 7'1", I mean, he's a legit 7'1". He's a big guy.
He's a big man.
And
he's a big man.
And his shot is nice, and it's only going to get better. So
I'm not sure if it'll get better because he's 25 years old. He had the lowest. And listen, athleticism isn't everything, right? Athleticism gets you into the league, but being able, this is art. There's a craft to the game of basketball. So I'm not all the way in on athleticism. But this guy had the lowest vertical of anybody in the draft this past year, right? Like, there's a certain question.
He's not a
plotter, Larry. He's a plotter.
But he's a shooter, man. He's massive, a shooter too.
Listen, so the difference is this is the worst thing that could have possibly happened to the Golden State Warriors tonight. The worst thing, because all this is doing now is giving Mike Dunleavy and the Lakeup clan an excuse for not getting Nikola Vucevic from the Bulls, because why do we need to do that? We already have a sweet shooting big man. Why had he been on the bench for the first 3 months of the season? The Warriors were trying out everybody. They had a 14-man rotation at one point. Why was he on the bench all that time? It's not because he couldn't shoot it. You could see that he could shoot it in the preseason. They knew that's why the only reason they drafted him. He has no other physical traits. He has nothing else. He can pass it a little, he can put it on the ground a little, but really he can only shoot it. The reason they did it is because he's a total liability on both sides of the floor if he's not shooting it. And this team has long needed a stretch 5 because they don't have a 4, either in Kuminga or in Draymond, who can't play together, who can shoot it. So you need to then have... Yes.
Perfect. He's a perfect
Correct.
player.
Correct.
If his name
was Nikola Vucevic, who's done this in the league for 13 years,
I know, but here's I mean, I get that, but I mean, and if they want to trade for Vucevic, fine. Vucevic is 20-10.
They had a player like this last year. Dario Saric was on this team last year. What happened? He fell out of the rotation.
He's not as good as Vucevic, I don't think.
No, he isn't as good as Vucevic. Do you think Quentin Post is as good as Dario Saric?
I really love Quentin Post. I will not be talked down about Quentin Post. I'm in love with Quentin Post. I think Quentin Post is going to be a Hall of Famer. I think he's the greatest player ever. He's one of the greatest players I've ever seen, and he's going to go down. He's going to be on the All-NBA team for the next 10 years.
He's got that terrible tattoo on his shoulder. I mean, what? Come on.
The guy's great. The guy's simply great. He's the greatest player I've ever seen.
Do
not ruin my Warrior Thursday night.
Sell him to the
Bulls. They got to win, and they have Quentin Post, and God damn it, I'm thrilled.
Yeah, Larry.
All right, but let's talk about the trade deadline for a second.
Santos.
Let's talk about the trade deadline. I don't want to. There's no reason to trade for 34-year-old Vucevic. Keep building.
What are you building?
I would trade for 24-year-olds. Don't trade for 34-year-olds. Trade for 24-year-olds. Trade for younger players and go for. Take a chance. There's no chance
on what?
They're not going to win this year. They should not go for a player that's about this year. They should go for a Zion Williamson, somebody who's got big talent, but his stock is down, who's 24, that if you get him and you could get him to lose some weight and, whatever, lighten him up a little bit, all of a sudden you may have if Steph's going to win a ring, it's going to be because Dunleavy made the right trade for the right ascending player and Steph was not along for the ride, but Steph was, not leading the way.
The only way that Steph can win another ring is if you get a player who is better than Steph. Like that goes
who
without
leads
saying.
the way, like and on a bargain, right? Because you're can't afford to really pay for them. I mean, you're going to get Zion Williamson on a bargain. Whoever trades for Zion Williamson right now
What's
is
a
going to
bargain?
get a bargain. It's going to be whatever. I mean, I don't think it's going to be great players. I think they want to get out of it. He wants to get out of it. The way it is in the NBA. When the player wants to go, he goes. So he's going to want out. Bill Duffy's going to get him out. They're going to trade him. They're going to trade him for 60 cents on the dollar. I'm not saying they're getting nothing, but because it's the NBA, you got to pay contracts. But like for the Warriors, it'd be like, I don't think you'd have to move Kuminga. I don't think you would. In the past you would, but not now. I think you could probably get him without moving Kuminga. So Wiggins,
I'd be fine
Picks,
with that. But
Moody, whatever.
They're not trading Zion in New Orleans because even though it's all toxic and nasty, that'd be another number one pick that the New Orleans franchise would move. They would have moved Chris Paul, then they would have moved Anthony Davis, and then they move Zion Williamson. And when you've done that now 3 times, at a certain point, doesn't the league office, doesn't somebody look in and say, why the hell do we have a franchise in New Orleans?
I hear you, but the talk is they're moving him. And Bill Duffy's a friend of mine. He's not said anything about, the Warriors at all, but I do feel like they want to hit a reset and take Zion in a different direction. That's just the vibe I'm getting.
I'd be all in on that deal for the Warriors. I just don't think it's available, and I don't think that Mike Dunleavy Jr. has the stones to push something like that through.
Vice says great show. Thank you, Vice.
I agree.
Last topic before we bolt for the door. Man, my Giants need a bat. They really do. And the polar bear is out there.
I know.
And I'm getting pissed off. I mean, it's
too.
like, what are we doing here, guys? I mean,
they're
what
dicking around.
Are we doing?
Well, it's
don't
about
tell
culture,
me about.
Larry.
Well, don't tell me about Eldridge.
Yes,
I don't want to hear
you.
about Eldridge. That's like talking about somebody. He should be at least in any normal, regular baseball development. He should be like a year and a half away.
Totally.
He should not be up this year. He should be up in 2026 September.
Well,
and people are talking about him like they can't get polar bear because they've got Eldridge.
Stupid.
They have no lineup to speak of. A guy like Pete Alonso is out there. They have nothing but money. The Giants have so much money. It's $50 more a month, I believe, if you want to watch the Giants on TV on the
station that they own.
It better be a good show, otherwise nobody's going to watch. I'm telling you, if you put Yaz and Flores and Wade and these guys all out there again, and you don't try, it's going to be really easy for people to be like, I'll just catch it on the radio. I'll just catch the highlights. I'll just catch, already the 12-year-old is already like, hey, I'm not that interested. Right. So, I mean, that they got real problems. They need a draw, and they don't even realize it. Go get Pete Alonso. I mean, you're absolutely being gifted Pete Alonso,
100%.
And they can't seem to figure it out. It's like you're not going to win. The Dodgers. Okay, the Dodgers are going to win. Okay, yes. Their over under is 109. They're going to win.
I'm taking the under, by the way.
They're going to win. They're going to win.
Yeah.
You're not going to win. So why not have some fun along the way? Why not make it a big show? Guess what? You should be rooting that you sign Pete Alonso, put him at first base, and then sign Eldridge and have him DH. And all of a sudden, you've got these two behemoth. You've got McGuire and Canseco. You've
Totally.
got the Twin Towers. People want to come see you. I mean,
Yes.
do the Giants have I thought they bought this team. I thought these people were marketing geniuses. I mean, how come I can see the genius of the polar bear and Eldridge?
Well, you don't
and
have to
they
write the
look
check.
at it. They look at the polar bears blocking Eldridge.
Well, it's because that's how they're going to sell it to the same mouth-breathing fans who will just do anything that they tell them is the case. It's totally incongruent too, right? Because you go out and you sign Willie Adames, who's had one good year. And you go out and you sign him because he's the best shortstop available, and you pay him for 7 years. And you go, that's fine. We're going to give Matt Chapman a long-term deal, right? These are win-now moves. So why are you still putting out a team that can't win now? Like, oh, that's going to block Bryce Eldridge? We're going to go to Christopher Rousseau, the Mad Dog. Prospects are suspects until proven otherwise.
Well,
you know who we talked about a lot a couple of years ago, Larry?
Bryce
Marco
Eldridge
Luciano.
you and I might be as close to the big leagues as Bryce Eldridge.
Bryce Eldridge might suck. This is the thing that no one
Bryce
ever wants to
Eldridge
talk
may
about.
never play a day in the majors.
Correct. I remember when I was doing KMBR tonight from 10 to midnight in like 2021, the amount of because it would have been 22 when the season was just down, nothing was going to happen. All we talked about, Marco Luciano. That's all the fans wanted to talk about.
Oh, and before
How's that working out?
Gary Brown. Oh my, Jesse Fopper,
it.
Jerome Williams, Kurt Ainsworth.
Right.
You can't trade Kurt Ainsworth. What?
I'm not saying you should be trading Bryce Eldridge, but the idea of blocking him is ridiculous. 2 years.
People went crazy when the Giants traded Tim Alderson for Freddie Sanchez.
Yeah. Like
You traded Tim Alderson? It's like, what?
who the hell's
Shut
Tim
up.
Alderson?
Go away.
It's
Get out of here.
It is as simple as, are you trying to actually win baseball games, or are you, if you are the Cleveland Guardians or the Tampa Bay Rays, you can't have it both ways, right? You cannot build up your farm system and put a really winning team on the field at the same time if you have to do both of those things concurrently, right? You have to do what's building up. So
Danny's in the house.
there it
Look at
is.
that.
He's not wrong. And but they traded Matt Duffy, so I mean, how can we possibly function moving forward? The number one priority of this team is to build up the farm system. It is absolutely the number one priority. They're going to have to build their own stars, and maybe Bryce Eldridge is that. The second priority is to win baseball games in the here and now, because it doesn't matter if you built up a farm system that can produce future stars, because that's not a guarantee of anything. And it certainly won't matter if you have that, if you've only won 65 games for the 4 years prior, right? You can lose it a lot faster than you can get it back. It's the opposite of weight. You can lose it a lot faster than you can get it back when you're a major league team. And if you're a major league team and you lose it today, you might never get it back, even if you have a great team again, because there is no market that's safe. Why are the Dodgers all the way in all the time right now? Because they understand how perilous the situation is for the sport of baseball. And they understand that if they lose it for a second, people won't come back, even if they start winning again, because baseball is not relevant in the national conversation. And that you have to keep people engaged through winning at all times. And it will be a problem for whomever buys the team in 20 years. But as of right now, it is not going to be, they are not going to do anything to hold back. And all the Giants have done since they got high on their own supply from 3 World Series titles with homegrown talent is hold back. They have no reason not to spend money. They've already spent money on Willie Adames. They've already spent money on Matt Chapman. They've already spent money for whatever reason on Justin Verlander. Why, when you're at least $20 million under the luxury tax line, why would you stop spending money now when the Padres are going to take a step back? The Diamondbacks are probably right where they were last year, and you don't have to worry about, there is a playoff spot to be had. All you have to do is put money in there to do it. And I'm sure they have enough real estate investments by now that they don't need to add to the portfolio. Put an exciting baseball team on the field. You needed a Santander. He's gone. Who's the best player still available? I just don't see any aggression. I don't see any purpose. They're just biding time and expecting people are just going to be waiting for them and happily paying for the product. It's ridiculous. It's not true either. Buster keeps saying we're in the memory-making business. What flipping memories is this team going to make other than misery?
I remember when I used to watch the Giants on television.
Yeah, that's right. That's the memory. Remember baseball?
I remember when I used to watch the Giants. I mean, come on. Seriously, it's too long of a season to give us the same old. I mean,
what's the worst that can happen?
It's really, I'm like, do you think, I mean, here's the other thing too. People like you and I get blamed for being negative. I've never seen more of a candy ass group of people than the people who are upset that we're complaining about a boring, totally lame baseball team that has no chance of winning, and we're supposed to sit here like trained seals and just be like, it's great.
How is it?
It's great.
Larry,
I can't
it's our responsibility to sell shit for them.
Flores, Wade, the same old guys. Dodgers are adding everybody's best player, and you're going to try to come back with the same guys that finished 40 games out last year. I mean, this is like Major League the movie.
Yeah,
it's bad. Who are these guys?
Who are these guys?
It's like, what's going on? Where's Willie Mays Hayes? I mean, it's bad. I mean, go get a big bat. Why is this so elusive? I don't understand. They have nothing but money.
That's right.
The Giants are
it's not like they're lowering ticket prices.
If you're writing the story of the San Francisco Giants and you're telling the story of this ownership group, it is an enormous success story. You would think they made the greatest real estate deal in the history of San Francisco, and their heirs are going to be unbelievably filthy rich forever because of it. Okay? The team at this point is making like $500 million of revenue, but they're spending like 44% of their revenue on player payroll. The Dodgers last year spent 67% of a larger revenue pie. They spent a larger percentage of a larger revenue pie on baseball, on their 25-man and 40-man roster, on baseball operations. They're spending 67% of a pie that's quite a bit larger than the Giants pie. The Giants are spending 42% of a smaller pie. So think about that for a second. You're not even going to spend the same percentage of revenue that LA is, and you're not going to generate the revenue. So how do you compete? You're going to have to be better. You're going to have to make smarter decisions. And they're making the smart decisions, and you keep bringing back the same mediocre players expecting I don't know what. But it's like, what at this point, what is the motto? Let's outrun the Rockies for the cellar? That's what it sounds like. That's what it feels like. That's what's going to happen. It's a fourth place team. The Vegas over-under, folks, is 79.5.
Yep.
It's time to do some more here. If you want to actually win games, you're going to have to actually spend some money.
Yep. And it's not like they don't have it. There's no reason for the San Francisco Giants not to be paying the luxury tax every year.
None.
But they won't do it because that would hurt their bottom line, and they want to somewhat break even. And they have just continuously lowered the bar so that breaking even isn't actually have anything to do with baseball. It's breaking even once all of their other investments are also paid off. They're not investing in the thing that has made them rich, which is the baseball team. If you don't have a baseball team, you don't have anything. And let's also make this point. They were as responsible as anybody in driving the A's out of Oakland, right? Now, John Fisher and Dave Kaval, they all deserve the main responsibility there. But the San Francisco Giants did nothing but cheer on their exit so that they could have the market all the way to themselves. They could have given up territorial rights to San Jose they could have done a lot of things. And they gladly watched the A's walk out of town. There will be karmic retribution for that, to be sure. But the fact is they have one of the largest and specifically the richest metropolitan area in the country to themselves, and they're spending less now. This is the problem with baseball, and this is why I get angry at anybody who say that the Dodgers are cheating or bad for baseball. All the Dodgers are doing is trying. The other team should give it a try themselves. The problem is they're exposing these lazy, penny-pinching owners who don't want to do it. The Pittsburgh Pirates have a pitching staff that anyone else in baseball would kill for. Their main free agent acquisition this year was Isaiah Kiner-Kalefa. I can't even get his name right.
Dieter, there's like 7 teams that have combined to sign like 2 players. I mean, it's like there are teams that are so inactive that it's like you wonder about. I mean, even the Giants. I mean, it's like how. I mean, Giants fans would literally be excited about anything. And the Giants still disappoint. All they have to do is do something. Make a couple trades. That's it. Make a couple signings. That's it. Their fans ask for so little, and they still do less.
The motto, you were asking what the motto is.
Look what they've done this offseason. It's almost February.
Yeah.
It's almost time to go to spring training. And they've added Verlander and a shortstop. No trades.
A shortstop.
No creative signings.
Appreciably on a bad deal, right? You signed him immediately. You're like, oh, that's not a good deal. But, you pay what you got to do.
It's crazy. By the way, Anthony Merkovich. Anthony, I think you're getting in the weeds on this. He says, Larry, what you talking about that they don't own the property? They don't own the property, just the structure. Look it up yourself, man. Telling you, San Francisco Port owns the land. It doesn't matter. They don't have a mortgage. The stadium, whatever the stadium bill was, has been paid off for years and years and years and years and years. I own a house. You own a house. We have mortgages. We pay monthly. The Giants don't have a mortgage. The Giants own their house in full. Every penny that comes through there is profit. It's
the Giants
a pure
also had
profit.
a 66-year lease on $1.2 million. So what they got, they might not own the land, but they probably don't want to own the land because owning the land comes with a property tax.
Right.
So they don't own the land. So they pay rent on the land at an extremely low rate, a preposterously low rate.
With an unbelievable revenue.
The Giants pay less, Larry. The Giants pay less for the land that Oracle Park is on every year that I paid for my house.
But you did pay a healthy sum. I mean, you really did pay a lot.
They pay fucking less. I could have gotten the entirety of the China Basin for a year. So it's, in fact, the best deal. They don't own the land. Who gives a shit? They own the structure, and they have a 66-year lease on a piece of land that should cost $100 million.
Well, wait. Can we just talk about this in real sense for a sec? They bought an asset in 1992 for $100 million. Correct. That's worth $7 billion.
Correct.
So sorry
to start. Yeah.
I mean,
to
so
continue,
don't tell me. I'm sorry if I'm not sympathetic to your. We just want to make a profit.
They don't. They
so
don't.
You're,
own
so wait,
the
the growth from 100 million to 7 billion is not whatever, 4.3 billion or whatever the hell it's worth.
Yeah.
Is not enough. That you need more of a profit. You need an annual profit, and that because that's just a paper profit. Yeah, it's a paper profit, but it's a paper profit you can borrow against. You've got that. It's not like it's not money.
Problem is they probably have borrowed against it.
I'm sure they have, but I'm sure believe me, these people are absolutely just rolling. The Giants don't. The only thing they do have is money. The Giants have plenty of money. Don't ever worry about the Giants financially. They're financially absolutely they're the healthiest franchise there is. It's not money they lack. They lack wisdom and prospects and personnel evaluation and drafting ability. And the Giants don't have the equity that matters to make trades, which is prospects.
Correct.
They have all the equity in greenbacks. They don't have any of the equity that they need in prospects. The Dodgers have equity in prospects and greenbacks. And that's why they can make any trade they want. They can make any signing they want, and they just keep doing it. And they just
Correct.
And you're right. It's like if we take away Dodgers, I mean, this was like the argument against George Steinbrenner when he was exploding the baseball pie back in the 80s. It was like, if I just told you I knew a man who owned a business and that business made an absurd profit, and he took those profits and he reinvested them into his business.
Right.
Would you say that man is a tyrant who needs to be run out of the sport or a really smart businessman? And everybody would say it's a really smart businessman. That was George Steinbrenner reinvesting into the Yankees. So I understand that argument. The argument, though, is can't be had in a vacuum, which is that what we're really talking about is the total destruction and the elimination of any and all competitive balance. And that's really the discussion. It's not about fairness or what's right or this or that. It's just about competitive balance. It's like the thing is, yes, you have one team acting one way and you have all these other teams acting another way, and it's disturbing the competitive balance because now that team that's spending the most and has the most is winning the most, and they won't always win, but they'll win most of the time. And over the course of a 6-month season, they're almost guaranteed to win. So, and then for the Giants, as a Giants fan, I guess the part that I have to really bothers me is that I actually have lived here my whole life. And I remember in the 80s when I was going to Candlestick and Dodger fans were going to Dodger Stadium, and Giants owners told us, well, you know what? We can compete with the Dodgers someday as soon as we get our own brand new ballpark, and we have a great financial situation. We'll be able to draw 3 million fans and have the same kind of everything and compete with the Dodgers on an annual basis. And here we are, 25 years into the stadium. They did win their 3 championships, but they really have demonstrated that they absolutely cannot compete with the Dodgers still, even though the Giants they're one of the haves and not the have-nots. They're one of the rich teams, not the poor teams. They own their park outright. They have revenue that's the dream of 99% of baseball, and yet they still can't compete with the Dodgers on an annual basis. And LA is still dominating them and owning them and dominating the NL West, and the Giants are never winning. And it's getting worse and more one-sided, and the frustration that some people I can't and won't listen to the macro idiot baseball take from the bought and paid for baseball media that this is somehow good for baseball. It's great teams are good for baseball if they come about in somewhat natural ways. When dominant teams just wreak havoc for years. We're not talking about a 2-year run. People are like, it's the Warriors. No, it's not the Warriors. The Warriors had a 2 or 3 year run. This is going to be like a 20-year run. Watch.
Warriors had a 5-year run.
5-year run. This is going to be like a 20-year run. This is going to be like the new normal because LA is going to own the Japanese market. Their games are televised there. All of the great Japanese players are going to want to play for the Dodgers. It's going to give them a major advantage if it hasn't already. Heck, in the last year, they've gotten Ohtani, Yamamoto, and now Sasaki. They just won the World Series and probably could have swept over a very powerful, rich Yankee team. They're just incredibly stacked and loaded. They're better today than they were then. The only good players they picked off everybody's good players. I mean, they literally even just Snell's good for the Giants. We'll take him. Whatchamacallit for the Giants, decent power hitter. Conforto, we'll take him too. I mean, they just it's like they have a 50-man roster. They just keep adding dudes. Their payroll is through the stratosphere. The luxury tax payment, it obviously is not working because the whole purpose of the luxury tax was to try to be an element that was an equalizer within
the purpose of the luxury tax was to justify lower spending. That's the
But
difference.
the luxury tax was meant as an element in the game to try to lead to more competitive balance. And it hasn't worked.
Just because they sold it that way doesn't mean that's the case.
It's like flipping the bird to the cop as you're driving 100 miles an hour through the state.
Well,
that's what the Dodgers are essentially doing.
No, and first off, it's all the owners who came up with this supposed competitive balance tax. And this is classic, right? This is stuff like right to work state, right? Words that mean nothing. The competitive, we want to make sure that everyone's there. No, all we've done is now created a clear threshold that we can now easily argue we can't go over because it would be punitive payroll-wise. And the Dodgers looked at it and said, no, it isn't. And every other team kept up the act of, oh, no, we couldn't possibly go over that line. It'd be too punitive. It'd be ridiculous. We'd be.
Well, but here's the thing. It's the circumventing of it, Dieter, because what they do is they dip under, they get back, they dip under, they get back. I mean, I've seen the game.
Have they broken any rules?
No, but I mean, they're intentionally trying to kind of like skirt the rules. But more than anything, it's like you've got baseball that should have a salary floor. They don't. They should have a salary cap. They don't.
Correct.
All the best players go to one or two teams. It's bizarre. I mean, it's not healthy. It's just not a healthy situation.
It's not dissimilar from how the sport has always operated, by the way.
No, but I mean that's not good. The bottom line on it is if every free agent went to the New York Giants and the New York Jets, people would understand. Football would not be as popular. It would take a while. But let's just say for the next 25 years, only the Patriots, Jets, Rams. Only a few teams, only the teams in LA and New York and Boston could really compete for the best players. Then suddenly the popularity of football would wane, and you know it, and I know it, and that's what's going on here. It's a stack.
I think that's it is
a stacked
false
card
argument.
Games.
So you're dealing with a sport whose popularity has already waned down to the point of being completely irrelevant on a national level, and when that's the case, I would argue
for other reasons, though.
Correct, but when that's the case, I would argue that the best possible thing for that sport is to separate the small markets from the big markets and let the big markets do the heavy lifting. If
like two major leagues,
effectively, this is no different than the Premier League in the UK, where it's like, do we need Sheffield? Do we need?
But that's not the league that they wanted. They wanted a team in Kansas City. They wanted a team in Pittsburgh. They wanted a team in Montreal.
And that's
they wanted
fine.
a team in.
And then they got rid of them.
And,
but the point is, someone's got to actually make money for the league to then give to all the paupers. And the issue that I have is that the Dodgers have broken no rules. The reason that it looks so bad is because no one else is giving a damn. No one else is trying hard. And people made the same argument about the Mets a couple of years ago, and that blew up in their face. Like, oh, they're spending all this money. Here's the deal. If you had more owners who would actually spend their money, it wouldn't look as bad. And frankly, this is the part that annoys me the most. The Giants are supposed to be the Dodgers' rival. The Dodgers are doing this, and the Giants have the resources to fight them, and they refuse to do it. The Dodgers raise the bar and say, we're going to do X, Y, and Z.
You're right. I mean, you're absolutely right.
All the same rules apply. What are the Giants doing to hold up their end of the bargain in a rivalry? When Alabama was kicking everybody's ass in college football, what did the other teams in the SEC do? They upped their game, and eventually Georgia took over because they took Kirby Smart, and they paid their players more before it was legal, and they did all these things. Like, that's the game. Someone is going to raise the bar. It is a fully capitalist system. Someone raises the bar to say, this is how you need to run your business. And you can either bitch and whine and complain that the system isn't fair, or you can get with the times. And every team in baseball has decided we actually really like not trying because it's lucrative to not try. Probably even more lucrative to not try than it is to try. And it's less embarrassing if you fail. So we're just not going to try, and we're just going to let them have it. That's the issue. I don't blame the Dodgers for that. I blame all the losers who run these baseball teams.
Everybody's to blame except for the Dodgers.
What are the Dodgers doing wrong? Wouldn't you want your team run like the Dodgers?
I hate the Dodgers, and I hate what they stand for. I hate the way they're run. I hate everything about them. I hate the Dodgers. I hate the fact that they just sign endless numbers of players.
Oh, you would hate it so much if the shoe had flipped.
No, but I hate what it's done to the game because here's the thing.
What game?
I used to think in January we got a shot, and now it's like we got no shot.
They never had a shot.
You know how bad baseball feels when you haven't even purchased your spring training tickets and you know that you have no shot to win.
Larry, I'm a Chicago White Sox fan. I know that feeling very well.
You guys won the World Series in 2005.
Once in 2005.
Yeah.
By accident.
It was a great year. A.J. Pierzynski over the Astros.
Jermaine Dye, Paul Konerko,
that was a
Wanya
pitching
Ribe.
Staff. Oh,
yes,
my
it was.
God.
The Bisabuelo,
and all those
Jose
guys.
Contreras, Freddie Garcia, John Garland, Mark Burley.
That was an incredible staff.
Camilo
That was one of the
Duvall.
best. That was one of the best teams. I thought that White Sox team.
The 2005 White Sox were a cosmic team. No
They were
question
awesome.
about it.
They were awesome.
Aaron Rowland, Scotty Podsednik, Jermaine Dye in the outfield, Wanya Ribe at shortstop, Joe
Bunch of
Creedy at
gamers.
third, Tadahito Iguchi at second base, Paul Konerko,
Ozzie Guillen managing.
Carl Everett as your DH, just absolutely raking that year. Everything fell into place. They didn't lose a series all year, Larry. Didn't lose a single series all year.
They were awesome. They were absolutely
It's
awesome.
a great all-time
Incredible.
baseball team.
2005
happened?
White Sox.
Then what happened?
This guy, HBH.
Tell me what's
Larry
to be
always
excited
complaining.
about with the Giants.
What did I complain about? What am I complaining
Anybody
about?
in the comment section, what is exciting about the San Francisco Giants?
Yeah,
what makes
seriously.
you want to buy your
if
tickets?
if you're not complaining about the Giants, you're not a fan,
Correct. You don't care.
as far as
You're
I'm
just-
concerned.
You're just eating
Because
it.
I mean,
Here's
here's
a
the
big
bottom
bowl
line.
of
I want to
shit.
win.
Go eat it.
I don't know how long I'm going to live, so I want to win now. You know what I mean? I'm not playing for 25 years from now. I'd like to win now. Like right now. I'd like to see a little bit more urgency. I agree with Dieter. They could. That is what is the most annoying part about the Giants.
Do it.
They absolutely have the resources required to fight the Dodgers nose to nose, blow for blow, and
Let's
they
go.
just refuse to do it.
Credit to the Padres. They tried. Then their owner died. Like, you don't have that issue with the Giants because it's owned by 40 flipping people.
Yeah.
Like,
And I love Buster, but come on, hey man.
well, he's
it's
part
go
of
time.
ownership.
Yeah. Sorry, you got to do it. By the way, this whole slogan, nothing like it. They just keep going to the same slogan. Come on, guys.
they can't even
freshen it
afford
up.
to buy a new slogan.
Get a new slogan. How about nothing like using the same slogan 2 years in a row?
3 years in a row.
Yeah. Nothing like it. I mean, to use it more than once seems to defeat the whole message. Nothing like it.
The amount of
And that's
time,
just like your constant message. That's just.
oxymoronic.
I mean, it doesn't even
It
make
seems
sense.
to be very similar.
I mean,
Well, hey, listen,
there's
they
nothing
can't-
like it.
It's
Again,
The problem is they can't get rid of it until Mike Yastrzemski's no longer in right field, and yet here he is. I mean, think about. I was thinking about this with the Bulls today. Like, they have Zach LaVine. They got Zach LaVine 7 years ago as sort of this is a stopgap measure, and he's still there. And I'm like, oh, it's like Lamont Wade and Mike Yastrzemski. They're just
I feel
still
like
here.
when I see the nothing like it, I feel like it should be moved around to no thing to like.
Nothing to like.
Yeah, nothing to like.
That's exactly right. How many times have I made that joke in the press box?
Nothing like it.
More times than I've been excited about Giants baseball.
No like it thing.
No like it thing. Nothing to like.
It's the no like it thing. Hey, Giants baseball, it's the no like it thing.
Don't worry, though. Best broadcast crew in all of baseball, but we'll have 4 substitutes for the majority of the season.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. It's just here's a rotating cast of people, but they'll keep advertising the best broadcast booth in baseball. I mean, here's Joe Rizzo and FP for another game. And they're good, but come on.
I can't even go there. Vice says, great show. Thank you, Vice. Thank you. That's going to do it for us. We're 2 hours and 12 minutes in. There's still 26, almost 2,700 people hanging out. We're just joking. We love every one of you.
Go to sleep.
Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles for being a sponsor of the Krug Show. Claudaddy in the house. He says, great take about the Giants, LK. Can't wait for you to hold them accountable starting this spring. Yeah, I'm going to go
problem. They keep holding accounts.
I'm going to go to Arizona because I want to play golf with my kid. I want to get a little sun on my white face. I'd like to maybe take in a Suns game. I'd like to go to Chicago restaurants without going to Chicago, and they happen to be in Arizona.
That's true.
You know, what's the pizza place that I love? That's
Giordano's.
No, it's not Giordano's.
Lou Malnati's.
What's the Lou Malnati's? We went to Lou Malnati's in Scottsdale.
Yeah, it's
dude.
A scene.
Lou Malnati's deep dish pizza is so freaking amazingly good.
I know, Larry.
I'm
a 300-pound man from Chicago. I'm very familiar.
There's deep dish pizza here. I mean, we can name a couple spots, but it's all
Listen,
right.
they do a nice enough job. It's not the same.
It ain't close.
And Lou Malnati's is operating at a level lower than some of the more provincial.
You know the place that I really love is Gino's East.
Gino's East is solid. It's
Gino's
no
East on
Pequods.
Division.
Yeah,
Pequods.
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 Yeah, it's up on way North Michigan Avenue, right by the John Hancock building.
I trust you. I trust you on this one.
Yeah. If I got one thing down, trust me on this.
I trust Dieter. When it comes to food, I trust Dieter. Claudette, hopefully we'll see you in Arizona. Appreciate you, brother. Good stuff. Good stuff tonight. Man, this was a good show. I enjoyed this one tonight. Thanks to Betr for sponsoring the Krug Show. Everyone who signs up automatically is signed up to, or automatically is in the drawing to win the Ricky Pearsall jersey. And we'll give that away on Super Bowl Sunday. So we're fired up about that.
Awesome.
Fired up that the Niners may have a defensive coordinator and Robert Saleh. I think that's a big step for them. And now it's about players. It's about players. And I thought we did that Sherwood call was a great call by you. And the mock draft, I think we went through it. We had some good, got some good talent there.
I am behind on running back tape, so I got to get to it.
Kyle Monangi.
I'm putting him high on my list, Blair.
Kyle Monangi.
Spreadsheet.
I want all of you guys between now and the next time I stream. I want every single one of you to get out there and watch yourself some Kyle Monangi.
Never met a man.
What were you gonna say?
Get that all 22. None of this YouTube highlight shit.
Yeah.
Never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get